Washington Street. And I was like, what is
I think so.
No, that's
I
not
wish you
either.
could have
Where's
video,
the
honestly.
real one?
Did you say that to him?
Yeah.
Like
I
you
made
saw
this
him?
little guy.
Yeah.
What did he
That's
say?
asbestos.
He's like, no.
Oh yeah, you showed me the beginning.
Oh,
Oh, this
But
is the one.
I didn't see the finished product. That's great. It looks so good.
I got
Oh
a little
yeah.
coffee.
That's
at
the one
that
they talk
place,
about?
You did show me.
Yeah, though it's not doing the whole thing for some reason.
That weird little sandwich
Yeah, you
shop.
showed me the beginning of both
Check.
days.
One,
but-
two.
Ooh, who's that?
Test.
Ocean, she's the Loa.
Yeah.
University.
We made that for
Oh,
Anne for
uh-huh.
her birthday.
It's like a bunch of like.
Thank you.
Mark your sticker.
That's
Also
really
says
great.
Thank you. I like felt. We made
yeah,
these
it
little
does.
pumpkins.
Wow.
For Halloween.
It's so cool that you
show it
have
to the internet.
Oh,
little.
riding a truck.
It's fun. You can't show my hands.
Yeah.
She's like, it's such a cool car.
I made-
Let's get her a pen. And
I
was
made a
like,
cat mat
truck. She was like, really?
for my.
Squeaky chair noises
my
today
coworker
on the
gave me some
internet.
really ugly yarn.
Put a hat on.
Ooh.
Like years ago.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
was
Yeah,
like, what am I
3 and
gonna do with
3.
this?
Get a hat.
And
Hats
then I
versus
realized I could
non-hats.
make a cat mat. So
Cool. We're on the internet. It
Oh,
happened.
that's great.
We almost weren't.
And look
We
at how
almost
here
were.
it goes, like,
Internet.
The deep state was plotting against us this morning, but we made it through.
Because the chapter is
And
called
now
Peace.
Yeah, because the
Aw.
chapter is called.
And
Peace.
this is how they co-opt you because they want you to think that they don't want you to do it, and now you think
We're falling right into their plans.
exactly.
Oh, free speech still exists.
Who's that dog?
Yeah,
Just
right.
some dog I found on the.
All they were saying is give peace a chance.
But
Chapter
he's
8
scared
of
of the kitten.
We're just- Chapter 8 of Calde of the Long Sun. Give it a chance.
Boris Johnson is gonna
Idea
bust through
piece.
that door and be like, nope, no peace today.
That'd be great.
I'm excited about that new one.
Trust? Everyone says she's real dumb.
She's horrible.
Oh,
Yeah,
there's
just
a
deeply
rumor.
unpopular.
There's a rumor that she is in like a BDSM relationship because
Yeah.
she keeps wearing this necklace that is like what do they call a day collar, and she has like a couple of them, and people are like, oh my god, but it's probably not true, but it's totally true.
I believe it.
It's definitely true.
I 100% believe it.
But did
I
she put
believe
her
it,
dick
too.
inside of
No,
dead
but
pig's mouth?
there's actual historical evidence, which is she had an affair with a very like domineering, mean politician who like humiliated her or something, and then she stayed with her husband, and she made some kind of comment about how like we've made a special arrangement to keep things together, and so the theory is she learned about BDSM from this other guy, and she realized that she's into it, and to stay with her husband, they've been like getting into it, and that she wears that little necklace. And then I look, it really does. It really looks exactly like.
Well,
'cause I
that's
looked into it.
adorable.
Good for her.
Yeah, right? But it's very exciting.
It would make sense that someone who wants to be like the prime minister at this
Of
time
England.
is a masochist.
Yeah.
Oh, of England especially.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See, it all fits together. It
Yeah.
really all fits.
It's painting the whole picture. Yeah.
Man, this is worse than the P tape that didn't exist.
It's out there.
Yeah, it's out there.
It's out there.
I believe in the P tape.
I believe that he peed.
No, he was
You got
just there
peed
when
on.
other people were peeing.
Oh, peace.
Peace.
To the
Peace be with you.
And also with you.
So what's going on with Marble here? She's like living several people's lives at one
She's like
time.
full comic relief now.
This is very interesting few pages we get here at the beginning. I think this is the most interesting part of this chapter.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It is the most mysterious.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, okay, so she talks about how she lies to like a younger girl that she was the posing, she
model.
was the model for Wolfe. But then, and then how she's sad about lying, and I guess that's probably Rose or somebody else, because then she goes on and has like memories of actually having posed.
But then she also says the person who really posed was the mother of the painter.
No, she posed up the old lady. Because there's an old lady with Molpe. in
No,
the
Mope
painting.
is the old lady.
Oh, she is.
Yeah, a chubby postulant whose name she could not recall had admired it. Oh wait, here's the picture again. The old woman with her doves. Maybe you're right.
The old one
Well, I
who
swear.
posed. The old one who
Yeah, all right.
posed is the painter's.
Yeah, I
mother,
had it in my
grandmother
head that it
and
was
mother.
an old woman in Molpe, and then for some reason I went back and read it and go, oh, Molpe is the old woman. but no, she's not.
Where
Never
did
mind.
they describe it?
It's somewhere here.
Okay, so there's Molpe. How old is Molpe? Is Molpe little?
Timeless, she's got it.
Right, but what is
Yeah.
she depicted as in the painting?
I've
Well,
always
Scylla
pictured her
is-
as being a teenager because I think of Molpe as just being Mukor.
Yeah, and
But
she's
I think that's just something I've been doing subconsciously.
and she is the crazy guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
But isn't
She is a child
Scylla-
of
And
the-
goddess of the air and stuff.
No, I see the connection for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh man, I went through this and then I was like, something's wrong, and then I went back and just changed it to what I wanted it to be, and was like, oh, now it all makes sense. But I was totally.
I think I'm a little confused by what's going on with the painting. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so she sees a painting. It's an old woman with her doves. The blessed by Molpe is what's blessed by Molpe.
The old woman or the doves
Or the painting.
or the painting. Yeah, is Molpe even in the painting? It's
Well, she
not
says-
clear.
I mean, a
doesn't
bunch of
seem-
doves
it doesn't seem
could
like
be
it-
Molpe.
Right.
Yeah.
But she says, she had said that she had posed for Molpe.
Right. So
Okay,
what
so
does that
Molpe is
mean?
in the
I
painting.
think so.
Okay.
But then it says that the girl responds with like incredulity. So she was probably like, "What are you talking about?" She could have. It could be like, "What do you mean? There's no Molpe in this painting?" Maybe.
Yeah, it's so.
It's tricky.
We're dealing
But-
with a fragmented mind.
Yeah.
Just about the age, not that it really matters, but isn't Scylla the oldest?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Scylla's like 13 or 12. So
Yeah, she's
everyone
probably a
else
little
is
kid.
younger than that.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like nobody's a teenager. They're all
They're all younger than that.
kids.
Even Tartarus.
Scylla is the oldest.
Okay.
Scylla is the oldest kid. Yeah. And Echidna is an actual adult.
Yeah, Scylla's of the kids.
Of the
Yes,
kids, yeah,
Scylla
yeah.
is the oldest.
I was just getting it straight in my head because sometimes I forget that Scylla is not Echidna.
Or is she?
So, and so they explain this, or she explains this thing that people almost always paint chems because they can sit still,
Right.
unless you need an elderly person, because chems don't ever look old,
Yeah.
which seems like a very significant part of this little story.
It's so weird to think about, like Marvel not looking old.
Yeah. I picture her.
Yeah.
I actually kind of picture her looking like
Yeah,
Rosie from the
acting
Jetsons.
That's what I
Even though I think they look like people, right?
I
think
don't
they look
know.
But they
closer to
weird.
She
people.
had.
Well-
she would have originally had
Yeah.
a flesh face, a fake fleshy
Do you,
face.
do you remember the battery commercials from the '90s with like the battery family, like
Oh,
they
yeah.
had like the angular, like I feel like Gene Wolfe's robots probably they don't look like Blade Runner like robot. They look like they kind of still look like
The way-
recognizable as synthetic.
I think so.
way they-
the way he describes because they're made out of steel, they have like microphones. In their
At least
mouths.
Well, and the way
this
that they-
version,
But
like thinking
that's because
about,
she's,
like,
like, broken down,
Jonas
though.
from New Sun.
right, he
Who's
might
quite
like
human.
well, yeah.
Right.
The way that they
So
have
is
her
she-
had like show expressions by like tilting her head in different ways makes me think of Dot Matrix from Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
right.
think she's got a Joan Rivers voice.
But I really think that's where Gene Wolfe's head is at with his robots. Like they're not exactly since like when you open them up, they're not like the androids from Aliens, you know, where they're like white and kind of have like they're like kind of organs and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe
Like,
they're
They're
like
not
Data.
They're not people-y.
Well, I
They're
think
even a little bit less.
Yeah, maybe
human,
less people-y than
slightly
Data.
less human than
Right.
Data.
Well, they-
but right around there.
they do
Yeah,
describe
that's how I
Marble's
see it.
face as like being flat or whatever, but that's because she lost
Yes.
the fleshy
Yes.
pretend.
Well, and sometimes they
cover.
talk about the little motors that would have moved her flesh
Yeah.
Right. I think she would have had a very human-looking face
Yeah,
originally.
but probably
Oh.
would be.
too. I don't think there's
probably
any of
wouldn't
those
look
left.
identical to a human. Though.
No,
Right.
but that's
probably
what,
would be
But that's what they
recognizable
would
as
have
a
originally looked like.
chem.
Is there some point where they talk about like the paint chipping off too? Like you can kind of see the metal.
Yeah, I think
Like-
it was almost more like it had been rubbed through.
Yeah.
Or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Raw.
Burnished.
Yeah.
It's funny when she talks about the painter here. I was having flashbacks to New Sun and to the painter that's like in that little thing there.
Ruskin.
And it made my brain feel like marbles right now, where I'm like, no, that's a different life. Like that's a different story. That memory is not part of this.
Well, but
it probably
like there's
Maybe it is.
that weird little mystery touchstone of art. Like that's one of the first times that you realize, like, oh, this is our Earth, because I recognize this astronaut on the moon painting, and like it totally informs what we're doing with this painting. Of like, there must be something that they don't get that I can get in this painting,
Her whole memory is really throwing me off too. Like,
because it's fucked up.
is it? Well, I do want to talk more about that.
Yeah.
But is her memory coming from Earth? Like, is she remembering like getting onto the?
She could.
She does at some point remember that, like
I'm not clear. Yeah, sorry.
I don't
I'm
remember
just not-
what point she remembers.
I'm not clear the setting of her memory. Like
Right.
she's describing like a soldier's, and like and again I'm not clear. Like she sees the flying thing in the sky, but has she also seen that thing in the past? Like
Well,
what I
here
mean?
she's
Like,
talking. No, it's not there. On the second page of the chapter, because then there's this flashback to what it seems like she's a human, and they're standing in a field, and they're all in line, and they see a ship come in, and she says, "Oh, it looks dirty," and then the other guy says, like, "Well, why don't you clean it?"
Yeah,
And she's embarrassed.
Yeah, is that them getting on a floater to go into the world?
I think it is,
Yeah,
or I think
that's
that
what I
people
was thinking.
hold that it is.
Yeah. I mean, that would make sense. And then, the soldier, which one does she go fall in love with in this book?
Was it Hammerstone?
Hammerstone? Yeah. Is it
I
the
was wondering.
same one?
I was wondering that.
So I think that whole love story is a dark telling thing about love, where like both of them are saying like, we loved each other when we were young,
Yes.
and we're reuniting, and they're both like, they
The
know
same.
they're lying
Yes.
to themselves
Yeah.
to play into a fantasy so that their love feels more real, and like that's how love works.
Does that have anything to do with when Silk encounters Hyacinth? Like, where it sort of talks about this kind of like being made to feel the way that they feel. That might have been in the last chapter I read about this morning.
Well, definitely Silk and Hyacinth's relationship is all about recognizing someone's flaws and figuring out how to overlook them, and that's what forgiveness is, I feel like.
Right.
Yeah, this whole part's interesting. So because you're going through her brain a little bit. Like the whole book reminds me of Virginia Woolf and James Joyce kind of style of writing. I think that Gene Wolfe is imitating that, and I think it comes out like incredibly strong in this kind of section here. Like it's very much about like memory and trying to describe someone's memory as it's happening in real time as they're walking around, and the effect is that it's intentionally kind of blurry.
Yeah.
And that's what the book Peace is about. Like Peace is about, like, again, I haven't read the whole thing, but I'm pretty sure it's about a person's ghost, but they don't know they're a ghost. They're just remembering the
Do
entire.
you know when that came out? We can easily Google it.
I
but do you
want to
know?
right
say
there.
83. But
Oh, okay. So this came out well before. I was going to say I was.
I'm not
curious.
sure that I'm right. We should look it up.
I was curious if he was
Definitely
writing it
appears to
around
be
the same
an
time.
earlier.
Yeah, it's way early. Yeah, it's 75.
Oh,
Dang.
So that was
Holy
before New Sun.
shnipe.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is. Oh, I didn't realize. Wow. This has a very cool kind of 70s like cartoon style like.
Oh, cool. I
The
didn't
cover
realize,
of that is sweet.
I didn't realize that was. I just thought it was color. It's
Not
little
color?
guy.
No,
Oh,
it's
it's
a-
little guys.
Little illustration.
I still haven't read that.
Neat
But I
edition.
picked that up the thrift
Oh,
store.
nice. The little guys
Just
are
keep
great.
whacking.
Their little guys are so good.
Oh man, I love this.
It's much better than I thought it was.
Nope, internet can't see it.
Sorry.
Look it
I
up.
can figure it out.
Once
Look it
again,
up.
Look it up.
Do a Google
censoring
image
the word
search.
peace.
Get your own copy.
Yeah, if
Says
you just
peace.
Google the
Can't
word
see it.
peace.
Coincidence?
Google the word peace, everyone. Everyone who's definitely watching this right now.
We're gonna
All of the
upload
people
this
who are
image that
watching
Mark
this.
is taking to the about section of the video.
If they're not watching it, we know why.
I don't think we can do that. But
Yeah.
I'll probably post
Is
it on
there-
Twitter.
CIA stooges.
Mark has a hack.
So here,
YouTube hack.
I feel like this was a really important passage. Like, believing she had posed after she had told
Yeah.
Maytera over and over that she had lied. She would have never taken these new parts if, though they were hers to be sure. So, like, those things, I don't know. Sometimes the formatting on my digital version is weird, but that's just like a set off paragraph by itself on my version.
Yeah,
It is.
here
I feel
too.
like this whole section, I think, has things next to each other that are directly related without like, they're not explicitly linked other than just by being near each other. I feel like that is symbolic of the whole thing that's happening. Like, you believe that you posed, you tell other people about it, and then that's effectively that's what your world is now. You're working with that world. And that the parts, she took them off someone, but they're hers. Because now that they're on her, she's experiencing the memories in first person. There's no like, oh wait, but that was Rose. Because she's not feeling it from the outside, she's feeling it from the inside.
And that goes interestingly with Gene Wolfe's thing where when somebody tells a lie, they don't understand or know it yet, but that is actually the truth.
Yeah.
You know, in some cockeyed way, every time somebody lies in Wolfe.
Yeah. And like in this section here, when she segues from like talking about lying into this relationship with the soldier that she loved, and how that's foreshadowing later on she's gonna lie about having been in a relationship with the soldier. But it's like the two things are right next to each other: the lie
Yeah.
and the love. And that's, I mean, it makes me want to be paranoid about the whole book, because I feel like anytime I come across something that doesn't have obvious relevance to the things around it, I feel like that means it has more relevance to the things around it. I have to look at that part as being the most significant.
Yeah, I mean, stuff like this too is interesting. Like several years ago, I went to a local reading with a sci-fi author. I think her name is Sarah Pinster. Shout out if that's the case.
That's the person.
I know that name at least.
Yeah, and I think she had a book that came, a novel about like having a robot grandmother in the house, and it was a sci-fi. She's a sci-fi author.
The
and
Electric Grandma? No, that's a Ray Bradbury.
no, I mean it came out in the last, but it's anyway. During her talk, she was just talking about like writing a domestic sci-fi story. You know, like most sci-fi is like dominated by like certain themes, and like this was just like more about like family and home, and also just like the concept of your grandmother coming back. As an android, I'm probably not saying the plot correctly, but it's something along those lines. I haven't read the book, but anyway, as I was reading this section, I was thinking that it is pretty interesting that throughout this book and this section here, like Gene Wolfe is dramatizing, you know, the Maytera basically like cleaning a house, you know, as she's having these thoughts. Like, you don't see that in like dramatized, like portrayed through multiple pages in a lot of science fiction, and certainly not in the early 90s, you know. Like this idea of like an older, like like Le Guin might do something like that, you know, or some other authors, but it seems unique to me. This seems like a really unique.
Well, there's like
thing
a
that
war
happens.
going on, and
There is
she's oiling the runner of the. It's like, and there's like an airship invading.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, okay. Well, gotta get it.
Now the
get
steps don't
laundry.
squeak. All right.
Right.
Next time I need to go out there, I won't even squeak.
Well, even when she is watching the war, the imagery she uses to describe it relates it like it's bacon grease, which is a domestic thing. Grease. Like it all just comes back to that. Because that's her programming.
And then there's that part where it's like, she should go back down now, get busy, wash or cook, though she was dead.
Yeah, I love that.
That's like amazing.
Also, there's a part where she mentions like there's no one even to cook for.
Yeah. That's the end
That's
of
a
that
very
same thing.
ghost move, right?
She was dead,
dead,
and
but you gotta go
Maytera
get that shit
Bechtel
done.
and the rest dead too.
Yeah.
I also really like the purr of a mountain lion as big as a mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's such a good
That's
phrase. What a good phrase.
There's an interesting shift of time that happens in this chapter too. That's kind of jarring.
Oh, definitely. There's a lot going on with time. Here.
Like when we jump back, we see the Trivagants here. We see the attack beginning, and then we hear Pater's voice, Silt's voice, and then we're jumping back in Silt's time quite a bit.
Also, I think the fact that it says mountain lion, that's like an earth animal. There's not a mountain lion in the world,
It might be.
most likely.
Or at least not the way that we would think of it.
Well,
Which
they
it
have
makes,
They
but it
usually
makes
have
me
different
think. It
names.
makes me
The
think that
animals
that's pointing
here-
to these earth memories.
the animals in this book are more animals we would think of than the animals in
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sun.
New Sun.
Right, because they would have split off.
And-
Yeah, because like there's Catacrest, but there's also a black ram.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess there are a lot of kind of normal animals.
There's lynxes.
Because they would have been like brought on. I'm guessing kind of like an ARC situation
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
genetic material, or even just having. They probably brought animals as well as embryos, like
For food.
right?
Do they address
For
that
food.
anywhere?
I don't think
like,
they do.
Blood has his weirdo animals. Are there like wild animals out in the woods somewhere, or
I
out in the
would-
fields?
I think that
like,
Silk talks about that when he's breaking into Blood's house.
Yeah, that would be interesting. The next time I read this,
I think they would have to be if there was going to be like ecosystems.
And I think they talk
Yeah.
about catching.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
like now that I'm thinking about it, are there like
There's
birds
wild
flying
birds
around?
for
There are.
yeah.
There are
'cause
definitely
they-
birds.
Yeah,
Okay.
they. I mean, Musk does all that hunting with like an
Yeah.
eagle and shit.
Well, so he's yeah, okay. He's hunting wild birds.
Well, he's
With
training
wild birds.
He's
the eagle
using-
to hunt the flyers.
Hawk, I think
There's
it is.
that.
But they also, hunt wild birds.
It's interesting. Hmm.
Yeah, it's a hawk. There's like an osprey.
Why don't you dust it?
Why don't you
Oh my god.
The funniest, the joke of the year. Why don't you dust
And
it?
everyone's cracking
laughter.
up.
There's like a laugh track.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be her perception if she's embarrassed. I
Right,
guess,
yeah.
'cause
right.
Who would actually? That's not a joke.
It might even
It's
it
like-
might even have been like two people being like, "Meh." You know,
Yeah.
but in her head it's like ah.
Everyone's laughing at me.
Yeah.
But why would she be embarrassed if she's?
It's kind of a classic robot thing. There's the robot who's like acting as a maid, and then there's the robot soldier. Like two archetypes that
Yeah.
like we naturally see.
That's the two uses for robots that most people probably think of. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, robot, it can do my chores or it can kill for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then like manufacturing probably.
Or like there's
That
maybe
counts as
might be
chores,
one
I think.
other thing.
Yeah.
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 Everybody wants the sex robots. That's what I keep reading on freaking the.
That's
Apparently, there's a demand for that. That's what I
That's
keep
I
trying
feel
to
like
make
that
that
might
true.
be the primary driving of like a realistic robot.
I
Like,
mean, that pioneers new technology. Like,
True.
that's why we have. That's why VHS, beat
VHS.
out Beta, and
God, the
like,
internet.
DVD beat Blu-ray.
or it was DVD beat, or it was Blu-ray beat HD DVD, whatever. Yeah, there's lots of
Printing press, probably. You know,
Yeah.
you know those guys.
Yeah.
Oh
gotta get
yeah,
better at
printing
that.
press.
Or like,
or probably a lot of like early self-publishing
There's, like,
and stuff would have
boobs.
been, you know,
Boobs.
the Tijuana Bibles, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Gotta make more of these boobs.
Make them.
boobs.
Gotta get them out there.
Sex and war
Sex and more, yeah.
coming at you.
Girls and politics.
So, do we go into the pit now, or are we still with? Or is,
Well, she sees. So I mean, I guess at the end she sees this giant flying vehicle.
She been seeing it, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I guess this whole section is her kind of like seeing it and then trying not to see it and then thinking about other stuff and then seeing it again.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
it just seems unclear to me. Did
Just a
she?
touch for me, please?
Did she? Is
A
she?
little more than that.
Did she also see the same thing in the past, and did that trigger her memory of
Yeah.
that?
When
Like,
she's talking about you should dust it, that's
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
seeing a big
seeing
airship.
the same thing,
Yeah, I mean,
or something similar.
yeah, it's like a giant ship, an unexpectedly giant ship coming out of the sky. And I mean, it's gotta be going up to the world.
Can you make it back?
It's just like the most.
Hell yeah!
It's just the best thing for it to be.
We need more coffee up in here. Thank you.
Oh,
I
the
think
chug.
the embarrassment comes from
Step into the
her
chug
accepting new
Chug
identities into herself. Like that's
I'm fucking jacked.
that's how you gain new awareness of yourself, is accepting other people's perceptions of you onto yourself. So taking this other person into herself, that's when she realizes, oh, that's something I should have been embarrassed about.
The coffee.
Which I guess is describing
Also,
Genesis,
THC.
right?
This is where the coffee
Original
came from.
sin.
Of looking at
Speak for
the
Black
nudity.
Acres,
Yeah, the
which
sin.
is in
It becomes a sin
Across the
because
street.
they are
Yeah.
embarrassed
They're my
about
favorite.
being
Nice.
naked.
Yes.
For the first time, they've taken in a perspective other than God's, or something that they think of as a perspective other than God's,
Right.
and that is why it is embarrassing. Oats.
I missed what you just said, Connor, but
I was talking about original sin. Love
Okay,
original
I will take a
sin.
little splash.
God, bring it back.
Bring
Bring back
it back.
It's not a comeback. It never went.
Right,
Yeah,
right, but
yeah.
bring back the classic recipe and not the new, not new Coke of original sin.
New Coke.
We got this original sin new recipe now. It's never gonna catch on, really. It's wasting time. It's like the Pepsi Clear of guilt.
I tried to buy Pepsi Clear once. They did like a re-release a couple of years ago, and they had it at the little like school store thing at UB when I worked there. And I went and I was like, all right, yeah, I'll try this. But it was so new that they didn't have it like in their like they couldn't scan it. And I was like, all right, I guess I won't drink it. And then I've never seen it again after that. So I have no idea what Crystal Pepsi tastes like.
I remember it being kind of uncanny because you see a clear soda and your brain goes Sprite, and then you taste it and it's syrupy and the way Coke is, and you go, no, wrong.
yeah, it's interesting.
That's what I mean. I was a kid when I had it, but
It's
I
like when you go
My
in
childhood from
to a bowl full of M&Ms and then you put it in your mouth and it's a Skittle.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's-
Yeah, that's a harsh awakening, I guess.
I remember that being that's like totally was the Crystal Pepsi thing was just like I don't even know what this is because I looked at it and I expected something else.
Yeah, I think it was released as a product, not a special thing. I think it was like an
Yeah, they
actual
were trying
product
to-
that
Yeah,
was going
yeah.
to be a thing, and it like completely bombed.
Yeah.
And SNL parodied it with Crystal Clear Gravy. Do you remember that? This was back. It was going back into the '90s, but there was
Crystal clear
Yeah.
gravy.
it would be like these shots of like they had this this bottle of gravy, and, like pouring it over like pork chops and stuff.
It was just like viscous.
You could just like simple syrup.
It was just really gross. You know, like Chris Farley or Adam Sandler, like wow.
Nice.
SNL. I heard that SNL had its worst episode ever this past week.
Whoa.
Really?
That's what several people have told me.
Worse than the Elon Musk one?
Who was
heard
the-
I heard that it was just not funny.
Who was the host?
I don't know.
Wow.
They did the Spotted Lanternfly skit where it was like Jerry Springer and the Spotted Lanternfly comes out and he's like, y'all hating, I'm just out here fucking.
Jerry Springer? That's so
sounds-
dumb.
What a
90s is
a
very
timely
awesome.
reference.
That's such a weird Eey.
But I don't think the kids who like the 90s are like Jerry Springer.
I don't think SNL is for kids.
No, that's very
Oh,
true.
It is.
Right.
It's always for kids. That's his target audience.
That's-
It's like
It
13
is, but it
years
is for kids of the 90s.
Yeah.
It
That's
is for
right.
kids who are now 45.
Well, Jerry Springer's more of a 2000s thing, I think. Is it?
Is it? I was in high
I'm
school
wrong.
for
It
Jerry
started in the
Springer.
90s.
Yeah, I watched it as a
went into
latchkey
the
kid.
2000s.
I think it's still going.
Is it really?
Jerry
I do not
Maybe?
think that it is
No.
still going.
Jerry Springer, disgraced mayor of St. Louis, right?
Mm-hmm.
He paid for a hooker with a check, lost his job.
Was he
Yeah.
mayor before the show?
Yeah.
So silly.
okay.
He was
What?
disgraced before the show.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Did
was
you
the
watch
story.
the recent? There's some '90s television program. There was an episode on Jerry Springer.
No.
That's where I learned all this stuff.
Oh, really? I knew it when I was watching him. I feel like it was something my dad told me. It was like, hey, you know about that guy, right? He was the mayor.
He paid
I
for
think
a
there was
prostitute
a-
with a check.
With a personal check.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
It's amazing. I don't think who would even take a check. Like,
Yeah,
I guess she's like, well,
"Are
he is
you
the mayor."
sure?"
I'm just gonna write fucking in the memo here, I guess.
I think there was an E! True Hollywood story about him when there was an episode of Jerry Springer episode of that, and I think that's how I knew about it. Or there was
Hey.
something along those lines.
He beat the rap and he became notorious for a different reason.
Yeah. And in the early
character.
2000s, Peter Gabriel, when he released his album Up, which was like the first album in 10 years from Peter Gabriel, there was a song called The Barry Williams Show, and he had a video. I'm trying to remember who was in the video. It was like, there was that famous actor in the video. But it was really weird because it was like clearly a moralizing allegory about Jerry Springer Show and how like Jerry Springer Show was like this emblematic of a rot running
Yeah.
through all of modern culture.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like 2002, I think, when it came out, and people were like, "Why is Peter Gabriel singing about Jerry Springer in 2002?"
Oh, really?
So yeah,
Like it was already old by that.
yeah, it was like
Interesting.
where has he been?
I always thought I watched a fair amount of Jerry Springer Show late at night when I was a kid because I didn't have cable and it would come on at like 2 a.m. or something. And I feel like he always seemed like a pretty kind person. Like he always came off like he would have like a little monologue or something.
Right.
And, like he would always say something like take care of yourselves and each other.
Yep.
And like obviously all this crazy sensational stuff happens on the show and he's like, but really, guys,
Yeah,
like
he was
we're
the voice of
we're
reason.
having fun here, but like we got to take care of each other. And I was like, I kind of like Jerry Springer.
He never was just patronizing.
yeah. He
Well,
never-
that was the whole thing. They
didn't bring
wanted
people
to
on.
make him be a new Phil Donahue,
Right, 'cause
And he
Donahue
was
would just bring
this
people
is
on and-
bullshit.
right.
And so he just let people be themselves, and that was his whole.
That's why
thing.
everybody hates fucking Dr. Phil too, because he would just bring people on and yell at them.
But then the producers started getting people drunk before they went. And they're like,
Well-
this is not quite myself. I'm horribly drunk.
And also, you had that like feedback loop of people knew what the show was and what people expected, so they'd go on.
yeah.
So but it was also like, we're gonna take you out. We're gonna pick you up in a limousine. We're gonna get you this fantastic meal. Go on the show. Get the fuck out of here now. Find your own cab home. Never been to the city before? Too fucking bad.
I was wondering like what young kids, if they watched a lot of that now, how they would feel about it. They'd probably just be like, these people lack communication skills.
Oh yeah, I don't think kids today would want to watch.
Or I think that it's pretty clear looking back. It's like, wow, this is really exploitative.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, there was. I feel like some of them are starting to find out about Howard Stern.
Oh god.
And they're like, this is the kind of stuff that was normal, and it's like, no, it was Howard Stern.
Right.
It's like look. I mean, not that the election system is like valid anyway, but still, it's just like we have a reality TV president. It's like, oh, I guess we did really like that stuff enough to roll with it.
Yeah. Well, people have always. Donald Trump has always like captured the minds of
Yeah.
people somehow in some way.
Of the simple folk.
Yeah. Well, it's like a strong, clear character.
Well,
It's
yeah,
like-
he's like a rich, like most.
He's a cartoon.
I feel like
Yeah.
most rich people who aren't professionally in entertainment actually don't want you to like know about them. Like they
Definitely,
don't want
yeah.
to be a public figure any more than they have to. And he was like leaning into it because he's,
He
he's
doesn't know what the fuck
tacky.
he's
Yeah.
King Ralph. That's
Like,
the appeal.
he's got that tacky, like, nouveau riche vibe. But it was, like, because he was, like, hey, I'm out here, I'm rich. Everyone's like, he's rich. Like, because other rich people don't do that.
It makes you feel like the American dream is possible. All those rich people act uppity. This is a rich guy who's acting like a fucking moron that
Right.
I am.
But not
Yeah.
only do they act uppity, that's not even a factor because you don't see them. Like, in public
Right,
life.
right.
Like, the only rich people you see are entertainers, and they're main personality thing or like role is their profession as entertainers, not that they're rich people.
Right.
And his thing is just I'm a rich guy. That's
Yeah.
his whole thing
That's
is
what-
I'm
that's
a
why-
rich guy,
that's why
and he's
you-
really the only. For a
Well,
long,
there's
not
more.
now,
Well, yeah,
now, but
now
for a
he's a
long
model,
time,
but-
he was kind of like the only guy who
Yeah.
was out there just being
The
like,
rich
"Hey, I'm a rich guy."
Yeah, that's why
And-
Elon
and
wants
that's like-
everybody to think he's really funny on Twitter, and he's not.
God,
Donald
that guy.
Trump was.
Oof,
Yeah.
that guy. Donald Trump is
There will
funny
never
as
be
shit.
another. There will
Yeah.
never be another.
He's funny as
like
shit.
him.
But he's not
very
in
funny.
control of it.
No. That's why it's so
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, like there's
And
no
it's
calculation.
like-
We're
he's-
laughing at him.
Yes, and it also works because it's like he thinks it's not just that we're like he thinks he's making a joke. Like
Right.
he thinks he's being funny. He thinks you're laughing because he made a good joke. But it's actually that he doesn't know how to make a joke, and that's fucking hilarious.
And this is kind of the dark side appeal of Donald Trump, where like there's people who can look at Donald Trump and say, look at this guy, he doesn't understand what he's doing, everybody's laughing at him, and that's what the rich people, that's a rich person, so I'm better than rich people.
Yeah.
You know? I'm immune to all those people who are into Donald Trump because I'm better than Donald Trump. So when I'm laughing at him, that's getting him somehow. I'm not contributing to the problem.
I do think that he has, if not I do think that it's more conscious than we give him credit for, but at the very least, he has an instinct for when to lean into the fiction. Like,
oh yeah,
Well,
I
it's
mean,
like-
he's friends
He
with Vince
does-
McMahon.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like any great pro wrestler, he's good at reading the crowd
Yeah.
and understanding when something is getting over. It doesn't really
Yes.
matter what the content of that is, but when people start chanting,
Then
like
he's
lock her
doing
up,
it.
lock her up, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna lean into this and make it a gimmick.
But
and
with Donald Trump, it's I'm going to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
Exactly.
And then you
Yeah.
can like
Yeah.
juxtapose that with like Boris Johnson, who knows exactly. He's very calculated,
right.
and he's playing the Donald Trump character, but in a very conscious way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's where you can see the
And then
difference.
dead in the middle of them, George Bush Jr. Half instinct, half calculated.
Yeah.
A little more calculated than Trump, not as calculated.
He at
Yeah.
least, I feel like W at least had people around him who knew how to make this thing happen. I feel like
Well, he didn't have
Trump,
ambition.
Yeah, and Trump.
Right.
Yeah,
No,
and-
he had the opposite.
Yeah, and Trump is so chaotic that I think it was pretty clear that it was impossible to have people around him who could really like direct or control
Yeah.
the thing, you know, the boiling mass of crazy. So
Was Dahlia's accent stylized? Did they help him work on his draw?
probably a little bit. He did grow up in
He,
Texas.
he's an actual Texan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, not that much.
I'm sure.
Texas.
I'm sure that like
I
he,
mean-
he was also like private school educated and everything. So I'm sure there was a certain amount of like, okay, you need to like.
Yeah, I mean,
amp this
Jeb
up.
doesn't really draw too much.
Yeah.
I mean, because Bush Jr. is Claudius. He's the
Yeah.
guy who doesn't want to carry on his family's legacy, so he's been pretending that he's an idiot his whole life to try to get out of being.
You didn't have to pretend that hard.
Well, I mean, I do think he's also an idiot,
Well, I mean, he did.
but he wasn't
Turns out-
trying to pretend not to be an
Yeah.
idiot.
Well,
Yeah.
He turned to.
He's a willing pass.
He was definitely like his drugs and alcohol problems were real and stupid, but also an attempt to get out of his fate. And then
Yeah.
I think so was his Christ problem.
Christ problem.
He went Jesus-y in that he
Right.
quit drugs and alcohol.
Oh,
and
really?
he
Right, he
went
was born
Jesus-y.
again.
Yeah.
But that made him very popular.
I think at every turn, I think he was trying not to be his father, and like,
Right.
he didn't want that. He didn't want to be a Bush, but there was nothing.
He just wanted to play
Nothing he
baseball,
could do
but
about it.
he's no good at baseball.
Yeah, poor guy. Well, it's good we got
It's
Trump
so
out of
funny
office
how,
because
like-
there'd be nuclear war now if we had him.
Yeah.
It's so funny how just like how like Jeb was the flop and George was the success.
Jeb
one.
wanted it too much, I think.
Yeah, I just so yeah. I mean, it's classic. He's like the
Please
like
clap.
daddy kiss ass. Like he wanted it too. Yeah, he wanted it too
Right,
much.
right. Yeah, no,
wasn't
but
gonna
but
work.
W, he was just a product.
Failed upward.
He just
Yeah.
But that's what America likes. America doesn't like somebody who gets what they have because they did the right thing and it all made sense.
Well, yeah, there's like
America
everybody
wants a shortcut. They
Everybody
want to
fucking
fall
hates
into it.
careerist politicians. Like that's the fucking swamp, right? That's
Yeah.
like everybody who wants to be in power is like should be ridiculed because of that.
And the people
But
who
if
avoid
you
it.
don't really want it and it kind of just happens,
Right.
people are gonna get behind it.
Well,
Yeah.
Trump didn't really want to be president either. He just wanted to make
just
the
wanted the
people who
publicity.
made fun of him feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Well, he wanted to win the presidency.
He
Yeah,
wanted-
but-
He didn't
Yeah.
want to be the president.
He
I
wanted-
don't know if he even really wanted to win.
I think it started off as just a PR thing. And
Yeah.
then
Just
it
a bit.
it
Sure.
just, like,
Yeah, I don't think he like
I think-
calculated to win. I think he was just
No.
delighted that winning was happening.
Right,
Well, he
right,
wasn't-
right.
Yeah.
Because I think that he also was like, I've never actually won in my entire life.
That-
It'd be crazy.
That
if I
wasn't
won.
the first time he ran for president.
Oh, it wasn't?
No,
No,
he
no,
ran
no.
like the
Oh.
election before. I don't think
Maybe.
maybe he talked about it before, but yeah, it
He
lasted
had a
like
couple
2
of-
weeks.
Well, he's
Yeah,
been
a couple of
threatening
vanity,
since the
yeah,
80s.
vanity campaigns, or sort of like how Kanye kept on saying that he was going to run for
Yeah.
president.
Because I remember the first time he did it, I was like, this is the best thing. This is hilarious. And then it died out like immediately. And then
Yeah.
the next time I was like, oh my god, he's back, he's doing it again. And then it lasted more than 2 weeks, and I was like, uh-oh, this isn't a good sign.
I think the thing with
That
Trump
is
is that he
kinda how
didn't really
people run
want
for
it,
president.
but he
It
is
is, yeah,
he is an
true.
opportunist, and so he's always looking for a way
No,
to increase his brand, make money, and probably find ways to kind of like whatever, get his friends out of trouble, get himself out of trouble,
Humiliate people that had spoken badly about him.
Yeah, definitely.
Scare
I
Like,
don't
people.
even
He
know
wants
if he
everybody
put
to be
that much
afraid.
thought into it. I think he was just sort of like, oh, is this happening? Well, let's go,
yeah,
like,
let's see what
alright.
we can do, and then people will be like, "You can't do that." You'd be like, "Why not?" Or like,
Yeah.
oh, you can't use this to enrich yourself. Like, what? What the fuck? Why else would I do it?
But like going back to him, like knowing if he's funny, like I feel like the most unintentional funny thing he did that we like still talk about all the time, that where I think he was trying to be serious is when he gets off the plane and the woman's like, Ruth Bader Ginsburg died today, and he was like, I'm just hearing this right now. She was a great lady, like that. It's like I really think he was trying to be very serious there, but it's like one of the funniest things
Yeah.
that happened.
I was
And
a-
then with like Tiny Dancer playing in the background, because apparently he always has Tiny Dancer playing on the tarmac or something.
He's such a fucking weird. I
He's
heard
a
recently.
queen.
Apparently, his favorite
He's a
movie
fucking-
is Bloodsport,
Oh wow.
which
great.
like is an incredible
That makes
movie.
sense.
But like,
It's funny because it makes too much
Yeah.
sense.
They're having
What a guy.
student elections at the high school where I work right now, and yesterday I overheard the most amazing conversation that was happening where these kids were arguing about like, well, this guy, he's such a goofball, and it's like maybe he's gonna win, and then there's these other people like, no, we need to vote for this girl who like really cares and like is really good at like be an actual good president, and someone was like, yeah, but does she even have the power? I mean, student council president isn't going to be able to really do anything unless the adults let us. So it's like, why not vote for the funny guy? Because it's like they can't do anything. And I was like, guys, right here, this thing you're saying, like this is it. This is not just at school.
Yeah.
This is real life.
Yeah, this is you just figured it out. Like whatever they're telling you about how the government works in your government class is bullshit. That thing you just said, that's it. Vote for the funny guy because they can't do jack shit anyway unless somebody in the office lets them.
It at least gets people watching the news because there's at least something funny going on. Like Biden isn't that funny. He's sort of funny. He can.
Man, I really wanted him to be funnier.
Yeah.
They won't let him be
Same.
funny.
They
won't let him be
They seem
funny.
to really try to keep him
Yeah.
out of the spotlight as much as possible.
Definitely.
I thought it was real funny the other week when he was like basically saying we're going to go get, who was it? I assume it's Ukraine, and then the White House had to say like, no, we're not.
Yo, yeah.
That happens every week where he's like just 2 days ago or yesterday.
Because he
he
just says the wrong word.
Yeah.
he said there's
No, I
gonna
think
be-
that he is being tough and thinking like this is what a president does is be tough like this, and then they have to come
They're like,
out.
"Shut
and
up,
like,
Grandpa."
we're not going to be tough like that.
Like when he did that
Oh, I see.
speech where he was like, if you want to rebel against the government, you better have F-35s because we are 100% willing to bomb our own citizens.
I think the funniest thing he did was he was testing out like an electric truck or something, and he's in the driver's seat, and the reporter's like, "Can I ask you a question about Israel?" And he says like, "Only if you lay down in front of my truck," and then he zooms off. That's my favorite Biden moment.
There was like 2 days ago some speech for donors where he was talking about how Putin was going to use nuclear weapons and there was going to be nuclear Armageddon, and then like it got leaked, and then the Pentagon and the DoD and the White House spokespeople had to come out and be like, we're not preparing for nuclear Armageddon at this time. That's just him talking. Like that happens like every other week pretty much, where he makes a major policy like pronouncement that they say, no, that's not really what anyone else in the government thinks.
Well,
It kind of blows a hole in the whole theory that Biden is better for us than Trump.
Oh yeah,
There's a lot
I
of
don't
ways
think
to
that Trump
blow
is any
holes in
good.
that. There's a lot of holes in
like
that.
Well, but this is
actual
one that's
evidence
just like
of things
every
that
day
he
is
has
happening
done.
in the news, you know?
I'd say they're both bad.
Yes.
but like,
Well,
you know,
anything
this-
that keeps
this-
America going is bad.
there was at least
Yeah,
a
an
certain amount
American
of
president is bad.
Yeah.
the
Period.
open insanity of the Trump administration, I think, was very like transparent in a way. You know, there's not a facade of competence.
I think that was good for the world.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
just to
think
say,
that
like-
was
really
very
was.
good
Like, oh,
for the
this is what a fucking
ecosystem
mess
of
this
like
is.
world
I
government.
totally
Yeah.
agree.
For everyone to be like, oh,
They don't know what
Yeah.
they're doing.
we can't have these guys in charge of everything all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
there was
No, we
no
mostly still
there
are.
was
It's like
no nuclear brinksmanship during the 4 years of the horrible Hitler man president. There was no point where we thought with maybe nuclear weapons.
No,
would
no,
be
there
used.
was.
That is
Yeah,
true.
he did
There
a
was,
little bit of posturing.
It's
What was
nothing
it?
like what's happening today.
North
in which-
Korea,
No,
right?
it's not.
He did like
Like
we
Syria.
have we have
Syria,
actively
yeah.
prevented any kind of diplomatic solution to the like Russian invasion of Ukraine, which is like it's just the first rule of war. If you give your enemy no opportunity to back down or surrender, like they're going to kill themselves and you.
I think that Joe Biden made good on his promise that there's no real difference.
Oh,
Yes.
he did guarantee that.
I don't think it was better during Trump. I think it was the same.
I think we're more danger of nuclear weapons being used now, which is like not insignificant.
Well, but to go back to the student class president can't do anything without the office saying,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't think that, I mean, like, that's window dressing. We're at the same level of danger we always were.
Yeah, as long as there are nukes, I guess there's always going to be
There
some
is,
posturing
but
about
there
nukes.
is a difference
Yeah.
between like an sitting U.S. president publicly in the media provoking the bear.
Right.
That's a thing. Like even if he doesn't have the power to launch the nukes, if he can like humiliate people overseas enough, it's going to change their perception of whether or not they need to use them. Like nobody was afraid of Trump. Nobody in a foreign government was afraid of Trump like being able to humiliate them to the point where it would make sense to launch their nukes.
I am not as confident of that as you are. I think that there was a lot of people who
He's so cute.
made a lot of hay by being afraid of exactly that. Regardless of the truth of what Trump could do, I think there was, like Angela Merkel, I think was probably always like saying this man could bomb us all, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Certainly, our news was always saying Donald Trump
Is
going
gonna kill us all.
drop nuclear
Yeah.
bombs on everybody.
And yet everyone lived.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he is interested in doing that.
No,
Well,
it's
He doesn't
Well,
know how he took all the instructions and flushed them down the toilet.
Everyone who didn't die from COVID lived.
Yeah.
more deaths under Biden though. Of COVID.
I mean,
Well, he was under
I-
his entire presidency has been under COVID,
Yeah,
where it
yeah,
was
I
only
can-
like
I-
the last couple months.
I won't give Brandon a lot of ground, but he didn't start that fire.
Yeah. He didn't do much to put it out, but that's been our point the whole time. Yeah.
He's been functionally useless about it, but you know,
Alright.
that was sort of past
You have
the
a visitor.
time. It was sort of past the point of no return.
It's a book club meeting. You want to be in our book club?
I'll give you this. Come tonight, last
Oh,
night.
great. Yes, I want to. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, Connor.
How do you do?
Plug your play on the
Can I
internet.
plug my play on the internet?
Oh,
I don't know what is it.
Is this the plug and play internet?
No one's probably watching, but you can plug your
Okay.
play on the internet if you want.
Plug and play. When will it end? When will it end on the internet?
When will it end?
When will it end?
When will it end on the internet?
When will it end? Enjoy the book.
See ya.
I'm sorry to interrupt. But not really.
Bye.
Have a good.
I feel like the dino kale spilling out of the bag really made it for me. Oh, we should stop talking about these fucking old idiots.
Yeah.
No more talking about men over 70 unless they're dead.
Or cool.
Or cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not very many of those though.
Yeah.
I mean, the ones that are cool we don't know about, and that's
Yeah.
what makes them cool.
Yeah. Oh, so
I can't wait to be an unknown old man.
we're in the pit. We're in the with the prisoners,
In the pit with the prisoners.
trying to love someone.
No.
Not quite.
You know, I had one more question about the Marvel thing.
Yeah, what up?
Okay, what's going on with the trunk? what's going on with the trunk footlocker?
Oh, is that Rose's
Stuff.
locker with her stuff in it?
Oh, okay.
It's
So
definitely somebody's
So
memory.
what happens
whoever,
is
it's
she's
someone.
she's walking up the stairs and she passes it. Like, what makes her think of that? You know, and
It's got. I think Rose put her last stuff in there before she died.
I think.
okay.
It's a bunch
And
of human things, not robot things.
And another part, did they
Dresses,
talk about
perfume.
how all of the Sybils put, like, the attic is full of old Sybils stuff or something?
Yeah.
The
Did
stuff
they-
before they became symbols.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So she just passes that by, has a memory of that. She goes to the roof, and the reason why neighbors would be shocked is because because she's on the roof.
Yeah. It's like seeing a dog on the roof.
Yeah.
What's
Okay.
going on?
Okay.
What's she doing up?
Okay. That helps me understand that.
I think. I mean,
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. It's just that one paragraph is a little bit weird. If you have the book on 235, where it's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
she opened the gable, climb out the roof, the neighbor's spider, they'd be shocked. Trunk evoked only her earlier search for its owner.
She's entering the word trunk in her computer brain, and that's what's coming up.
Trunk evoked
She sees the thing, and she's like, trunk. Like, what the fuck is this? Trunk. And then she's like,
foot.
foot locker.
Right.
And then it comes up with all the information of all the shit that's in the foot locker.
List of dresses, her perfume, the commonplace, and his like prose switches to like computer syntax.
So that's very interesting. We're actually dealing with like computer memory right here.
Yeah.
Throughout this whole
And so this, I think, is also all adding into a larger theme of Wolf in this book, and in I think all the Sons, in that. And I feel like the default mode in our culture is to think of robots, like the idea of a robot having a human feeling or a resembling, like an inner life that resembles a human, as being kind of fantastical and even a juvenile idea. Where I think Wolf says like absolutely no, that what if a robot has any kind of consciousness, it's most likely to be like the consciousness that we know exists, like to shed the things that we think of human and then say a robot's consciousness would not have these things makes no fucking sense, because we don't have any example of a consciousness that
and we
have
make
this
the
stuff.
computer.
Yeah, and we make them. And so, and I kind of want to, I don't know, I don't read enough Elon to really know, but I do have this kind of ambient sense that he is of this like pure nature kind of philosophy, that human emotions are over here and then like sense and numbers are over here. And when we make,
Definitely.
when we have a more technological world, things will be more reasonable, more efficient. And I think Wolf is like, that is a total dream that is based on nothing. It's like a projection of wanting to like dehumanize.
But to that end, that's part of like the thing with Elon Musk though, is like, I don't think that he has actually like an ethos about it. His whole thing is just like making money and like selling. I do think like if you asked him, that's what he would say, because that's the thing that he's playing at. But
Yeah,
I don't think that he actually believes in like literally anything except for like how to make the most money.
Yes.
Yeah, like I mean, clearly, like Tesla is just a way to capitalize on people who wanted to like whatever, like get away from gas. But like electric cars are also very bad for the
That's
environment.
fucked. Yeah.
Joy was complaining about Elon Musk the other day because he was an environmentalist.
Awesome.
It's like it's
He's
crazy that you
definitely not
That's
bad.
amazing.
What a cool reason.
like-
Also,
to
that's like,
complain
yeah, it's an
about Elon Musk. There's,
insane
like-
reason too. Like, no, he cares about the earth,
Or like
which he doesn't.
he
but
convinced like California to not build a high-speed train like 10 years ago and said, no, we'll do my thing instead, the Hyperloop, which has now not happened. And instead they have like 1 mile of tunnel that you can only go down if you're in a Tesla, like a
And
self-driving
also, there's
Tesla.
like no
Like,
shoulder, like so.
oh yeah, and it's a death
It's like
trap.
very
Let your self-driving death trap of a car and go into this no escape route tunnel.
But it's also a thing is like I
good.
almost feel like the shit that he's into is like the shit that you know will never happen.
Yeah.
It's like on purpose in a way.
Colonizing
It feels
Mars,
like intentional.
Yeah.
You can't fail at colonizing Mars if it's always a little bit further than.
Yeah, we
Well,
are.
and
We're
it's
gonna do
just
2030,
shit
2040,
that-
2050,
Yeah,
whatever.
it's totally just like
We should make him go to Mars. Now.
turning a long-term impossible concept into like short-term profit.
Yeah.
That's like his whole thing.
Yeah.
Well,
So
and
it's
he doesn't
not
have
even
any-
about like
Yeah, well, he doesn't actually invent anything. He just is like, oh yeah, I got this
nobody
idea.
invests in
Yeah, I
this
just got,
and he pushes narratives.
yeah,
on
or he'll
things.
just say like, oh yeah, I had this idea for like this, Hyperloop, whatever, and it's like, just an idea for it, and he's like, you guys figure it out, and nobody's figured it out because it's not actually a thing that you can do, and
Yeah.
like I don't
And
know.
he like
He's-
didn't start. He didn't start Tesla. He just bought it.
yeah, he bought a founder title from them. Basically.
He sued them into it.
Yeah,
he
essentially.
sued them.
So
he
insane.
bought the company out from under everyone, and then sued for the right to say that he was a founder, even
Yeah.
though he wasn't.
It's
What?
fucking
How could
crazy.
he?
They had to like
You know,
agree
like,
to
what
it in
the
order to
fuck?
like get the rest of the deal or whatever.
Yeah,
That's
also,
magic,
it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
corny.
He
It
didn't
is
start
magic.
PayPal either. All the shit that
Yes.
everyone thinks he
Yeah.
started, he didn't start.
Yeah.
He just kind of came in halfway and was like, "I'm just gonna buy this."
It's so lame seeing
Got
Teslas driving around. Like, you see people like driving their Teslas. I always like look at them like, what's
Yeah,
wrong
me
with
too.
you?
I'm always like, oh my god, it's real. It's like,
Yeah.
shit.
I told
the
you
thing
guys
is, though, I
drove
feel
one.
that way about anybody who's driving a car.
That's fair.
I'm sorry.
that is fair.
That is
I'm
fair.
very sorry.
Yeah. I despise cars.
To the half
I have
of us
one.
who drive
I also
cars,
despise
we're exactly half and half.
Hey, I got an e-bike.
Wait,
I've been riding an
I
e-bike.
count
Oh,
you as one of
cool.
us.
Those are fun.
I might.
I mean, I've never
I
ridden
swear,
one, but I know
the,
that they're fun.
I might too, but
My
well, I-
my network of rented travel vehicles has really like gone to
Contracted.
shit in the last fucking couple of months.
Your fleet.
Really?
Yeah, it's got
Scooters?
the scooters
cars.
and the zip cars. It's gotten to the point where it's kind of a coin toss whether the vehicle I have looked up in my app and or reserved is going to work or be there when I get there.
yeah.
It's gotten really terrible.
Interesting.
This. I feel like this is just the direction of the whole world.
Yes.
Everything in the world. It's like,
Definitely.
It's like,
and to
yeah,
that end, like Musk, he's ahead of the curve because the whole point is like making money on shit
Yeah.
that doesn't actually ever happen.
Yeah.
That's like everyone's like, oh shit, you can do that.
or
I
stuff
want
that-
to do that.
Well, that's the whole startup venture capital system is just based on coming up with an idea that doesn't actually make any money, like getting
Right.
just a bunch of investment
Seed,
capital
yeah.
and then selling it to Facebook.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
isn't this is kind of like what's happening in aeroplanes, right? Where like
You,
Them flying contraptions they got?
no, actually, like
I like that you did
the
this.
whole problem with the airlines and pandemic is that the airlines were like, we can't fly anywhere, we're not going to make any money, and so the government was like, we'll lend you money, and then they put up as collateral the way that they actually make money, which is the airline miles.
Yeah, the
thing.
credit
So like,
Yeah.
they're making money off of just making deals about something they might do, which
Yeah.
they aren't.
I
now.
hate it.
Yeah.
I
You
hate
know?
I hate airlines.
And it doesn't matter if they do.
Oh my
It
God.
doesn't matter if they.
Credit card
that's,
company.
yeah, that's the
that has
it's
airplanes.
capitalism in its purest form. Is that every company is not making money off of their product; they're making
Right.
money off of selling your information.
And they might not even
Or-
be, and they're probably also not even making their product.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
like they're just not
Right,
even
no,
doing
you
the
don't
thing.
have to do that. You just have to have enough people who are willing. I mean, that's like
You just have to have.
that's the
money.
NFT thing. That's like all of crypto. It's just like it's just
It's
it's
so-
just
it's
just
abstracted-
gambling.
it's
All of it is
abstracted
just
all the way
gambling
down.
and like just
It's
kind of
bad.
trying to like keep the ship together with spit until until you die and you don't have to worry.
So
Well,
you can
and
sell it to
fads,
the
right?
idiots above, like one step above you.
Yeah.
And it's fads. It's like whatever activity can generate interest, the money flows to that, and if you could get into that activity to be there to get money splashed on your face, then you win this round. Well, I was thinking of the porn. I was thinking of of them as being porn stars.
No,
Like,
you're allowed.
the money dick
It's
is
allowed.
coming money on their face.
Oh.
Is what-
I knew what you were doing.
Just one?
Huh?
Just one dick?
I mean, if there's more than one money dick, those aren't the real money dicks. Yeah, I think there's only one real money dick.
One real money dick. Bro, you got a money dick.
I have a friend who has a theory that Joe Biden doesn't know about Tesla because every time he talks about like electric cars and stuff, he talks about like GM, like he never mentions Tesla or Elon Musk. I just like it.
That was a story like a couple months ago where Elon was like, "I've never been invited to the White House," and then somebody at the White House was like, "Yeah, we don't know what he would do something. Like he would do a thing, so he can't come."
He would do a thing.
Yeah, they're
Stunned.
yeah. He would.
They're
Like
not
basically
into his
like
shit. They don't like his shit.
You're too annoying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you can't come. You're
You're
too
not ready
annoying.
for it.
Or like, yeah, we can't anticipate what weird thing you would do, and it would make us look bad, and so it's just never.
It's a lose-lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's what he deserves because he's a clown. He
I wouldn't
sucks.
invite him to my dinner party. That's for sure.
No.
All of this said,
Can you imagine being at a dinner and you're like sitting next to him and you have to like try to talk to him?
That's really all he wants, though. See, he wants to be like. He wants everybody to feel the way that Musk fanboys feel about it.
Yes.
Which is not going to work because he's a deeply cringe person.
Yeah.
Well, and not everybody feels that way. Like, no one person can get everyone to feel. John F. Kennedy said something to this effect, I believe. You can't, like, if you have a bunch of fanatical fans and you want everyone to feel that fanatical way about you, that's never going to happen because there are different people in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't have everyone.
You can't please everyone.
Yeah, he wants to be loved.
Yeah.
And it's just.
It's very sad.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of the Trump thing, too. But,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
so.
all that said, if he does
Large adult
succeed in
son.
destroying Twitter and revealing like that it is in fact like 80% not actual people using it, then I will put a little icon of him up in my house.
If he takes down Twitter,
Yeah.
Well, I think
it's probably for the best.
he wasn't actually able to prove that there are as many bots as he.
That was just him trying to get out of buying it.
No,
Right.
He couldn't prove that there was Twitter.
but he's gotta like the court is forcing him to buy it, so he
Yeah.
will be able to tell us how many bots there are soon, and I think that he will, and it'll be devastating for like a week, because it's gonna be like over 50% of the users are not real people.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
I mean, I
like
think
me.
that there's
I hope it's devastating.
For like
it's gonna be
the
devastating for a small like stratum of people.
Yes.
20% of the population.
20%.
the not for actual people who use Twitter because people who actually use it don't care. The people who invest in Twitter might care,
Yeah.
but I don't even
Right,
know why
right,
they
a lot
would.
of
Or
gives a
people
shit?
who have built reputations on like their followers.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. The
Yeah.
people who are going to go from 2,000
Well, they
followers
don't-
to 50
they
followers,
don't
they're
belong-
going to have a little ego death for themselves.
They don't belong on
Journalists,
Twitter
a
anyway.
lot of journalists.
Yeah,
if they care.
Yeah.
They none of those people even belong on
Journalists
Twitter.
aren't
Right.
people.
No,
No,
they're
they're
not
not,
anymore.
and they
No,
don't
they're
deserve
influencers.
human rights.
Yeah.
It's okay to shoot journalists.
It's weird that they put that blue check on their name. But I feel like
Journalists.
it's like if a government was forcing them to have that blue check, we'd know what it meant.
Yeah.
But they're doing it on their own.
We've seen like how many of these journalists have like basically they've like left their Vox or the
They're all on
Intercept or whatever.
Substack.
Yeah, now they're all on Substack, and it's all fucking unreadable.
I like Substack.
Yeah, I really liked Useful Idiots, and then when they lost,
Yeah.
they left Rolling Stone. I was just like, oh, now you guys need
You guys
a better
need an editor.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the thing. It's
Yeah.
like that's editors make that kind of thing work, and now it's just like Matt Glazy saying like, you know what, it's fine if you don't have a window in your bedroom. Like we need to
I
be okay with like just transforming business parks into housing. Right?
Oh.
There's a
But
lot
the
of
thing
bullshit
is,
about
it's not
that.
about what the news people are saying. It's just about how many people have subscribed. It's the
Yes.
exact same
Yeah.
thing we were just talking about. Like your news doesn't matter.
Or not
Just
even subscribe,
your
just
numbers.
clicking on it. Yeah, just being able to
Yeah, just
clicking on it.
getting the numbers so that you can get fucking whatever to underwrite it.
The funny thing is that, and then everybody,
Is that even a
like
thing?
real
It's
people,
all
somewhat
subscriptions.
real people,
all the
obsess
people
over
are
these
fucking-
journalists, and they like, oh, look what he said this time. We're like, the best way to get rid of them is to not pay any attention to them at all. Like, I would have no idea who Matty Iglesias is or any of the stuff he has said if other people didn't tell me about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's giving him more attention, and it doesn't matter
Right.
to him what kind of attention he gets, because a click is a click. And if people are making fun of him, and he can be like, oh, people are making fun of me, I don't even know if he cared.
Well,
Like,
that's I guess to go back to James Joyce at least. He talks about how like criticism of capital just empowers capital.
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how all of it works.
Totally.
Like,
Yep. Ignore the news. Ignore politics. Find God now.
I was within the first two. Yes.
Well, change your definition of God.
Also, I don't think if you ignore news and politics, you might not have a choice. You might find God no
Yeah,
matter what. If you're not
absolutely.
looking at those things, you're probably
Yeah,
looking at God.
something's got to fill that vacuum. Right?
Yeah, you're
That's
either,
very
you're either
true.
going to become a Cenobite when you find God in other people, or an anchorite when you find Him in yourself.
wow. Hell yeah.
Or you can become a Cenobite also by solving the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, is
The
new
Lamarck
Hellraiser
configuration.
about Lady Hellraiser?
I think so.
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
I'm gonna watch that.
I watched
I've heard it's
Hellraiser
good.
4.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Did you like it?
Is
I did.
Clive
Isn't it
involved?
good?
It's cool,
People
yeah.
Are like, oh, the other
Is
Hellraiser
Clive
movies, but it was
alive?
good.
The thing that's
he
not
is.
so good about it is you could tell it could have been way better.
Definitely.
It could have been way
Absolutely.
better.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like,
It
All
was better
Clive
than I
Barker
was expecting.
movies could have been
plus
way
you get
better.
like Adam
was
Scott.
fun.
What was the
and
dude with
Yes!
Clive Barker? Like he
So
basically
young.
like sold the rights to one of his books to make a movie.
For like
and
5
then
minutes,
he
I was like, that's the dude
convinced
from Parks and Rec.
the producers that he had to
No,
direct
it was like
and
actually
that he knew how
interesting
to
with like
do
the
that.
going through time.
And then he had to teach
Totally.
himself how to make a movie.
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
tell. Like that could have been a really cool
pretty
movie.
amazing.
Which is a
Yeah.
Clive Barker is
It was
a
better?
fascinating person.
Yeah.
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 Oh, have you seen Nightbreed?
Yes.
Nightbreed is
What is that?
cool.
It's
Oh,
awesome.
Should I put it on my
yes,
list of-
you should definitely put it on. your
I have
list.
the
The bad
books
guy
of Nightbreed.
is
They did a comic
Cronenberg.
book like version of
Cronenberg
Nightbreed.
Oh,
acts
that's
in
cool.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
I've never seen the
Wait,
movie. I just
Nightbreed?
only read the
Oh,
Yeah.
books.
highly recommended. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a movie that like could have been a masterpiece. Is like it, but is just kind of an oddity, but definitely worth watching.
We're still talking
City of
about
Monsters.
Nightbreed.
Yeah.
Amazing
Right
costumes
in
and
the
makeup.
Great,
It's a
yes,
horror
the
movie?
best,
So
the
wonderful.
best costumes and makeup.
It's about like a counterculture of freaky monsters.
of
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
demons, yeah.
Humans are the real
Yeah.
monsters.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
demon,
This.
underground.
Yes. Oh, I
It's-
must
Wait,
see
Yeah.
it.
we
Yeah.
watched
There's a
that.
guy,
We watched
he's a
that.
monster, but the
one where they
monster,
live
his monster's
under the
thing is that his
cemetery or
head is
whatever.
shaped like a crescent moon.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like Mac the Knife, the McDonald's
I was
character.
That
recently
movie
looking-
is wild.
Very
Yeah.
90s,
More like
very
Teenage
cool,
Mutant
like
Ninja
makeup
Oh
and stuff.
man.
I
Yeah.
forgot
I'm
what it was
excited.
Or the
called.
Garbage Pail
Yeah, I
Kids
remember
movie.
that.
Yeah.
The Garbage Pail Kids movie is about gentrification.
Little monsters.
Yeah, little monsters.
That's Fred Savage?
I've never seen
yeah.
that movie, but I did
No,
read the
yeah,
novelization
with How It
when
Might
I was in elementary school.
There's a novel.
There's a novelization.
I could
Much
see
different.
I could see you saying that in the playground as a kid, like, no, I haven't seen it, but I've read the novelization.
That happened to me a lot.
Oh yeah, that happened to me a lot.
In elementary school, yeah, like I definitely I read the novelization of Waterworld like a decade before I saw that movie.
And you got through it
Waterworld.
faster than
It
watching the
is.
movie.
It's,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
much better than it's given credit.
I
for.
started.
Waterworld's good.
Little
Waterworld
Monsters
is
was
good.
my favorite
Hopper.
movie as a kid. It was like the movie I
Yeah.
would
Hopper.
watch on repeat.
Going full hop.
Waterworld?
Little Monsters.
Oh yeah, it's really good. Good
But
lore.
I just
World.
It's like as an adult, I'm like, oh, it's all about human trafficking and like pedophilia. Like, ooh.
Right.
Fred Savage is a
Haven't seen
weird marker of quality. He has good taste.
He does.
Interesting.
He's directed a bunch of comedy shows.
Yeah,
that
he
you wouldn't
directed
expect.
some Always Sunny
Yeah.
episodes.
He was in this sitcom with Rob Lowe called The Grinder a few years ago. There's like 1 or 2 seasons of it, and it's really good.
Whoa.
Where Rob Lowe plays an actor who portrays a like lawyer on television, but then his show gets canceled, so he just goes home and decides to join his family's law practice, even though he's not a lawyer. And Fred Savage is like his younger brother who is a lawyer, and he's just so pissed off at him all the time.
I feel like the word you say in the most southern way is lawyer.
Yeah, for sure.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
Liar.
Oh yeah, like that. The
I say it the
movie-
way
You
that it is
suddenly
spelled.
become all
Yeah,
foghorn
it's
leghorn
not-
for just that word.
The
Lawyer.
movie
Lawyer.
with
The
Ryan.
first hole was my wife.
I can't say it the other way. I don't know how to. My
Don't.
mouth, my
You
mouth
shouldn't.
doesn't work that way.
You're doing a great job.
Behind the second hole was my daughter.
I remember when I was a kid watching the movie The Client, and the kid in it is like, "I'm gonna get a liar." However you say it, the southern. I can't. I'm not.
Lawyer.
Lawyer.
You just read the word phonetically, and
Lawyer.
that's how I say
Yeah,
it.
but that's not the way the rest of the English world
You say
does it.
lawyer.
We say
lawyer.
lawyer. Like
We
lawyer.
say solicitor or barrister. Thank you. He's a KC.
L-O-Y-E-R.
Lawyer. Come on, that's nothing.
L-O-Y-E-R.
Oyer.
Lawyer.
Lawyer.
I
There's not an
remember.
O in it.
Lawyer.
There's not even L. It's just Oyer.
Attorney.
Lawyer.
My father is an attorney.
I think it
This
was
is the
Ben
part where
O'Brien
I-
who was
where
like,
I-
"What?" Who like pointed that out once. He was like, "What's a lawyer? Like, what did they loy?" And I always think about
Yeah,
to
damn
loy.
straight.
That like really stuck in my head.
Look, Alabama's not right about a lot of things.
But they're right about law.
We were right about the pronunciation of lawyer.
Law.
It's, I don't think it's that pronounced.
No, I was gonna talk about the old. This is like I was gonna say this is the time where I talk about the one TV show that I've seen after you guys talk about 15.
Star Trek.
Oh, Raised by
No,
Wolves?
no. Well, I mean, I have seen that. That is a great show. Severance.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh,
I haven't seen it.
I
Oh,
was
very
so
good. Is
the
that
first
good?
2 episodes
Very
I saw, I was
good.
like, is this
I wanna
gonna be
watch
good?
that.
And the last episode, I was like, I cannot
Speaking
fucking
about-
wait for season 2.
Oh,
It's
it's so good.
So going
Incredible.
into that, I was just like, I have no sympathy for office people.
Kenny was like, I don't want to watch a
whatever,
show about an
Like,
office.
fuck you. Like, I'm not reading into this. But then I realized it was like all about like childhood and religion, and it was like a lot more than just like a metaphor for being stuck in the office.
I love what they did with, what is her name, Hetty?
Yes.
I love what they
Kelly.
fucking played me so
Kelly.
well with her. Where I was like, even going right to the end, I was like, I just really don't like being with this character. And then when you see what's happening in that last episode, my heart fucking broke for her. And it's like, I need the next thing. I need the next thing for her to happen now.
But it might never happen.
No,
No, it will.
they got the funding.
And we'll see.
I think it will.
The whole industry is eating itself alive at anything. I mean, they entirely made Batgirl, and then they were like, "We're never going to show you. Get away, assholes."
That's different.
Yeah, because that's for like children. They can't shit.
It's all for children.
Severance,
Yeah, it's all
Severance
for
I feel like is aimed at a particularly discriminating audience, which
Yeah, Severance is for people actually paying for streaming series.
You know that they don't.
Which is why I haven't.
that's okay. I'll blame it. But if you guys have
You're right.
have
Yeah,
the Apple
same.
TV
I don't
to
have
watch
Apple.
Severance, you should watch Servant because Servant is
Yeah, I wanna see
fucking as
that.
good. It's not similar, but it's that level of
Oh,
quality where you're like,
we
this
will
has
watch
no
it.
fucking right to be this good.
I saw
Maybe I'll
Servant.
maybe I'll buy it for like a month,
Yeah,
and then I'll
steal
just
it.
watch
Yeah.
the good stuff. And then
It's so worth it. If you
Servant?
like M. Night at
I
all,
love him. He's my guy.
if there's
I
any
love that
part of
man.
him that you ever liked,
I-
you gotta watch
Every
it.
part.
I do like him.
I
I like
It's kinda
the Christian
guilty.
Alien movie.
Yes,
Yeah,
Science
I
is so
liked
good.
Old too. I thought Old was underrated.
Old is great.
No,
Yeah.
Old
I
is
love Old.
not good.
I couldn't finish
Whoa,
it.
glitched
that
out a little bit.
I
Yeah.
never tried it. I never tried it.
The android
That's
there,
next.
like,
I couldn't finish
The
it.
end was
Old
was too
not
good.
good.
Oh, his end.
Yeah,
I
his,
mean the
his
end
ending.
of the end of Old. I was like, okay, this is a little too fast.
little tacked
tracked,
on,
but
the concept.
but
up
the
until
whole
then
movie
was cool.
The rest of
Pizza
the
makes you.
I like The Visit. That's the.
The Visit is
that I-
great.
that's an actual
Yes.
good movie. I think maybe accidentally.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
outside of M. Night movies, because I will
Yeah. It's like,
admit
it
that
feels
I
like I'm
judge-
watching a movie when
Yeah,
I
I
watch it.
judge M. Night movies different than the rest
Yeah.
movies. I must admit that.
Yeah.
But The Visit is something I would recommend to people who don't like M. Night Shyamalan.
What is The Visit about?
It's about these kids who go to visit their grandparents and chaos ensues. It's great. And I saw it in the theater, and it was one of those movies where everyone is like freaking out together and being like, what the fuck is going on?
Like
and so it was like
Jackass?
really fun. Yes, it was like Jackass, like that, exactly.
It was exactly like Jackass.
Almost exactly.
I
You
did
gotta
love
see
seeing
it.
Jackass in the theater. That was
So
Good
good.
experience.
That was
The new one?
beautiful.
Yeah, we went. It was like the first movie I think that we went to.
Yeah, I
like
think so.
Post-plague.
Yeah, post plague, or whatever. Tail end of plague. We we went and saw Jackass.
Was it
So good.
What was good about it? Just being around people while all the Jackass stuff was going on?
Yeah, there weren't that many people
I
in the
screamed.
theater.
What I hear is that the cinematography is amazing in all those movies.
No,
Like,
they're good movies.
They're well shot. No, they're
Yeah.
they're legit great movies. And Jackass Forever has a lot of dicks in it.
Yeah, it
So
does.
I'm enjoying
So
Johnny
good.
Knoxville's new
It
show
just seemed like it was too much
What's the show?
pain happening.
with
like,
Paul Reiser.
just like
What?
stuff,
and
people being hurt and people knowing they're gonna get hurt.
But in like the Three Stooges,
I never got
One
into
of the
it. I
key
don't know.
people.
Where it's
I
like
like
something
people,
about is like the
when he
folly
makes
of
the
man.
skinny
I mean,
I like the
it's-
first CKY2K
Yeah.
movie. Like I
And,
love that, but it was like raw.
the woman
and, like,
from Archer.
It's the same part of me that loves pro wrestling as the part that loves Jackass.
Okay.
I think that's like it is a
The old one?
it hits the same spots
lady?
for me, which in
The
both the
secretary
like
from Archer. He's
visceral
also in Arrested
disgust
Development.
and
playing
the like
secretary.
I think this is art
The
kinds of ways.
I
could appreciate
Yeah.
the crass
Okay.
blonde.
Right.
Oh,
It's
What
a
is
good
the
show.
show? What is
It's
it
called Reboot. It's about a bunch of people trying to reboot a sitcom.
cool.
But not
Oh.
reboot the '90s CGI show.
No, it has nothing to do with that. And I keep wanting to make
They
that
should
joke, but
reboot
Anne
it.
doesn't know about that show.
Oh,
The cast for that looks so good, but then the trailer I saw made it look so normal. Like all the jokes were normal. Everything about it, there like seemed to be nothing.
I think that's something they're talking about in the show.
Okay.
It's like people trying to be normal, and like that normal is gone now.
Okay, because yeah, I mean, when I say normal, it looked mediocre. Like all the humor seemed to be that they were showing on that trailer. It was like this.
I mean, I don't know that you're going to like it because it is humor about mediocre humor that is for mediocre people, so it's still fairly mediocre.
Okay.
But those are the people who need to hear about this kind of thing.
Well,
But I like Johnny Knoxville on it.
yeah.
He's
And
he's
he
just
has sex
such
with
a
an old lady, and
such
I
a
like sex with
charmer.
old ladies.
I feel bad about Keegan Michael Key because I feel like keeps getting put into these things
Yeah,
for
really
like
bad
really
things.
normal people, and he's he should be in weird stuff.
Yeah, it
Absolutely.
is.
that's what
It
this
is strange
show's
when he's
about.
playing very normal people.
Definitely.
I've seen some shows with him where he's just like a guy.
It's
He's like a husband.
The last episode was his character and Paul Reiser's character just saying that to each other.
Oh wow.
Like, you could be good. Why won't you let yourself be good?
Wow.
I feel like people won't
Well,
let
Paul Reiser need to hear that too. That's
Well, Paul Reiser's got a whole thing going because of Stranger Things.
Right.
oh yeah.
Is he in that? He's in that?
He's
Yeah,
in
yeah.
about the
Yeah,
season.
later
Wait,
seasons.
does Sean Astin? Sean Astin should have a whole thing going too. Then.
He got killed in that.
Right,
He's
yeah, he
only
got
in
killed
one
off.
season. Paul Reiser stayed alive.
Oh well, I feel like that should have
Dark
been,
Paul Rising.
I think Sean. I didn't watch. This scene is weird. Is it just like an action?
The whole
movie?
book's weird.
The whole book is weird.
Yeah.
This scene is
This
particularly
is
weird.
weird. Wait a second. This is really strange.
It seems almost like why is it necessary?
I like that Hammerstone's bound with human hamstrings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, what else are they gonna eat?
What?
I mean, they eat people, so this
Right.
isn't
Yeah,
even
they
the
got
weird
they got the
thing.
hamstrings around, but like
It is a
Man.
weird detail.
Because
It's
everyone's
really
naked
grisly.
too. Like they have nothing down there. So yeah, they would have to.
It is. Gross.
yeah, they don't even.
Does somebody have a knife or like like some kind of sharp thing? Isn't that
yeah,
Jen
Ox,
probably does.
Ox got a sword.
For what?
I was
His
misunderstanding
hanger.
what Ryan was
Yeah,
saying.
I thought he was talking about in the book.
I am talking about it in the book.
Ox has a sword.
Yeah,
So
but I
Jen
thought
probably
I was
does.
just
Oh.
Because he was talking about it in real life.
I'm gonna go to a bathroom so I can think better.
A bathroom?
I was gonna use one of yours.
Yeah,
You're
I hope
welcome.
you do. It might take a while. Otherwise,
Well, this. I feel like this is like a kind of brief
yeah.
scene where they
yeah,
sort
yeah,
of like get in there and then they.
We're like in medias res of a hostage crisis,
yeah.
which is resolved when the
airship
invasion
shows up.
is clear.
Yeah.
And they're and we get to see in this that they drop a bomb on the
Yeah.
Alabera. And then that's kind of just put aside for the whole rest of the chapter because we got to backtrack to explain why Silk's voice is coming out of the
Right.
drone. But like, why is this scene necessary?
Oh yeah.
Not that I want it to be gone, but I'm like kind of curious of what is going on here. What is
I kind
Wolf's
of feel
fate?
like that maybe he just wanted to get into the pit, but
it's
also
sort of moving the pieces.
Yeah,
in
like,
a way. Like you needed.
you just needed to know where they were. But then I think also to do the cool thing where like they hear Silk's voice and then you backtrack and get Silk's like because the Alumbrera is important, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, also we find out that it not falling is really important to the peace team.
yeah.
That's become part of their like platform. It's almost like I feel like this scene is just for the trailer. Like you get the bomb and the people, all the flyers flying around, and these guys like naked dudes in the prison, and the camera panning up to see like the CGI and the effects in the sky.
Yeah.
That's how this bit to me felt like totally like this was for the producers. A little gift to them.
Just like a cool action scene.
Yeah,
Totally.
the robot soldier tied up with human.
But like,
entrails.
it's just like the next step of Ock and Chenille's journey.
Is it important that they're taken that like Incus and Hammerstone are taken captive? Like, could this scene have happened without that? Could they have just busted in on these prisoners and had a little, what's going to happen with the prisoners and then the thing happened? Like, why are Incus and Hammerstone being taken captive? Why is that important? Or why is that like? Why does that happen? There's got to be something more to it than what I mean, unless I don't know, it's for fun. It's like tense. It's exciting.
Well, so because they split up, and this is them coming back together, and I think it's just natural that the prisoners would want to tie up Angus because he's a dick,
Yeah.
right? Oh no, they come in with like guns blazing, trying to like take over the place, right? And they're like, no.
Yeah, Incus begins the aggression, I think, right?
Yeah, I
He
think
comes
so.
in shooting for no fucking reason. A bunch of unarmed guys.
I guess
it's also really
I think it's just
dramatic.
like when you just like let characters do what they're going to do, it's probably just like, well, this is just what would happen in the situation, potentially.
I guess that's also really dramatic when Ock and Hammerstone are not. They immediately are not enemies anymore and are both shooting at the airship. Like, that's kind of an interesting turn there. Because you have this robot who I feel like conventional robot wisdom would say would have difficulty switching from trying to protect Incus from Ock and the prisoners to now his entire situation, or his entire focus is on the invading force that he just found out about a second ago. Like, but that's actually not difficult for the robot at all. That's his first priority is like, he's a soldier. He's got to fight against an invading army before he cares at all about what's happening down in this pit.
It's kind of like mixing chemicals together, and it's like, okay, these chemicals don't like each other, but then you add another element and all of a sudden like a new reaction takes place or whatever. But yeah, like Jean likes to play with that kind of how people interact with each other and stuff. Like, yeah, if you're fighting this one guy, but then all of a sudden these guys come out of the sky and like start shooting at you, like, oh, okay, now all of a sudden like that's not our thing isn't important anymore. These guys are more important all of a sudden.
The end of Watchmen.
Yes, exactly.
But that's
That's
kind
very
of
exciting.
yeah. But that's kind of it for this little bit here. So the excitement, these sort of shifting relationships, and then we're back to Silk.
Yeah, it's like a quick, like blast of like action movie.
Yeah, it's like 2 pages or something. No, it's more than 2. It's 4 pages, 3.5 pages.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
Yeah.
And then we get right into the airship, I guess. Which is like this whole Silk passage was very confusing to me because I guess that and the last Silk passage seemed like he was really. They're both very dreamlike, but it seems to also be like most of the stuff is really happening. So, but he's like kind of half experiencing other stuff at the same time.
I wonder if he's like under anesthesia or something and like coming out of anesthesia.
Well, he's like wounded and like I think delirious. And at the end of the
And I
last
think
chapter,
that he has deep programming taking over.
Right.
Like I think that he's had his unconscious mind is running him more than his conscious
True.
mind.
And it also kind of gives some like background biographical information.
Yeah, we get the most kind of explicit indication that he is the son of the Calde. This is like where it really comes. Is this my father? That whole little passage.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like kind of, I feel like, one of Wolfe's more larger.
Which is
big
crazy because
pointing.
it's still pretty subtle.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if this was your first time reading Wolfe, like you'd probably still miss
You'd be like,
that.
no,
And
she
he's-
says it's not his
Oh
dad.
yeah, I definitely did miss it on my first read of this book.
And he's getting this message of, carry out the plan of Pass, and like, it's sort of, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. That's sort of like his deprogramming. It's like he's having this weird, like, memory of his childhood, but it's also reinforcing the stuff that he needs to do in the now.
And this is sort of a sci-fi, I feel like, perspective on thy will be done, on like faith. That like there are parts of, it's not your conscious mind that you need to like do what you need to do. That there's a lot that in your natural instincts that are going to point you in the right direction. And in here it's kind of like symbolized by genetic programming and like meddling in the organism, but that like it exhibits in Wolfe's world in like faith of just like the world isn't going to be saved by me figuring out the plan to save the world is going to be saved by me having faith that what my inclinations and what I'm being like the opportunities that are coming to me are the thing I need to do.
Like, because he's thinking, what would I tell my past self to help me along? And the things are fear no love and carry out the plan of Paz, which is like, I guess, Hyacinth and
And
the
the
plan
outsider.
of Paz.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the outsider. So, oh yeah, because the outsider is love. But it's just like these are the two most important things in his mind that he would want to tell, but he already does that. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't even need to tell himself that.
Yeah, neither of them is like a reversing a decision or like making a specific action at a certain time. They're just like things that were naturally going to happen anyway.
But the world tries to stop those things from happening.
True.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Like this is, I mean, basically, to me, it seems like the advice is just be yourself.
Yeah, have fun.
You
with
know,
yourself.
and the world keeps trying to get you to. This is definitely influenced by Aleister Crowley's idea about the true will and stuff. But yeah, the world is constantly trying to get you to not be yourself. And if you just accept who you are and your place in the world, then you will be in the place you need to be.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah. I don't.
And you don't, and accept that you don't know what your place is. That it finds you.
I think so. I hear you. I think.
I learned this term last week that I'd never heard before, strategic narcissism. And it's the idea that what you want to happen is what should happen, and that what decisions you make are make or break whether that happens. And it's like, it's weird because it's such a basic idea. It's like so baked into our concept currently of human agency that like, you're always supposed to be working towards a goal for your personal self, and you're also always supposed to be doing the responsible thing so that your society gets better. But that these are like, ultimately, there's a narcissistic program behind this that says what I do is going to make the difference of whether or not there's like justice or not.
You know, I watched The Master last night, which is a Paul Thomas Anderson movie he made
Master's
after
so good.
There Will Be Blood, and then he made that. I think there might have been one in between, but I feel like The Master, which if you haven't seen it, is sort of about the origins of Scientology. But I feel like Paul Thomas Anderson was suggesting that the origin of this kind of American notion of the agency itself originated at that time, not necessarily from Scientology, but from the post-war period of like soldiers coming back and thinking about, okay, what do I do with my life now that I'm back from this whole ordeal? And that like, I feel like that film suggested that like, I don't know, that was a new conscious way of being, was like, what do I make of myself?
Yeah, and
that may not have existed before that.
At that time, it empowers people who are like, God, this horrible fucking thing happened in the world, and then someone tells you like, you have the ability to change your world.
Right.
And
It's interesting because now that we're talking it through, there's actually a scene that I forgot early on in the film where all these like soldiers are sitting and like there's someone in front and he's explaining like you're coming back to civilian life now, and now you all have the ability to do whatever you would like. And there's like this whole little scene. It's really interesting. It's actually explicitly, and you know, Joaquin Phoenix is sitting there and he's kind of like whatever, like this is bullshit. Like that's his character, but it seems like that's like a whole theme and. I don't know. Just that when you said that, it made me.
Yeah, and now it's like we're
back.
70 years pushed in the future, where like everyone is kind of taught like you are personally responsible for every bad thing that is currently happening.
Yeah,
and these things wouldn't be happening if everyone made the right decisions.
And also, the only decisions that you have to actually make are consumer decisions.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Which, because that same time is when like extreme consumerism started.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's when that started.
Yeah. Which is also interesting because he's working in a department store in the beginning, and kind of there's all these long Paul Thomas Anderson shots where the camera's just like going through the department store and like looking at all the people, like you know, like looking at the racks of clothing and like choosing. You know, and it's so interesting. Yeah, consumerism definitely filled in that notion of like you have the choice.
Well, it also created. It's like they co-create each other,
right?
Because it's like because it's pushed.
Yeah,
it's like both, you know.
And it cancels out the like saying somebody you can do whatever you want, but then having consumerism come in and tell them, but this is what you want,
right?
Like it tells them what they have to want at the same time that they tell them you can do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So that you're not doing whatever you want, and then that breaks your mind, and you join Scientology.
Right.
So that you can try to figure out what it is you want.
Or you just have a 5-day work week.
I would say that's the same thing.
Yeah, I just can't. Kenny and I were like the other day, because I've been on this contract at the museum. It's like a 10-week contract or something, but this was the first week. For one reason or another, this was the first week where I actually was in there all 5 days. Like either I had a day off because it's something I had to do, or there was a holiday or whatever. For whatever reason, it was never like all 5, and I did all 5, and I came home and I was like, I can't believe people do this for their entire lives. It's one thing to do it for a little while. And then not do it, and then maybe do it again. But people do it every week for their entire
less and
lives,
less people.
and I can't believe.
I mean, I've been doing it for like a decade.
I can't believe it.
Like,
I can't believe anyone can do it.
You have a day to do to like rest and get your brain back. You have a day to do chores, and then you're back in the fucking right back.
I just can't. It's no judgment on people who do it. I just literally can't believe that people can do it.
Like,
It blows
honestly,
so I cannot do it.
honestly,
I can't do it.
I think the only reason that I've been able that I've gotten to this point with it and not lost my mind is that during COVID I got to work from home for a long time, and that was amazing. Like, it worked really well for me. And now I still have to be back in the office 4 days a week, but I have one work from home day. And it makes like a huge psychic difference for me.
Yeah.
Like, having a day where I got to do some work stuff, but like I can also sit around in my underwear and read and work on my own stuff.
I started a new job this week, and it's like an office-y kind of thing. It's all work from home, but it seems pretty chill so far. It's more like a 10 to 4-ish kind of schedule.
That's way better.
And Fridays are legit. Like everyone's done at 1. Like it's like you get the day. And I know that seems like so cucked or whatever to someone who doesn't work full time, but the difference is
my point is not.
No. I know, but I'm just.
This is what this show's about.
I was thinking about what you were
saying. Severance is definitely a
My
reaction.
point is not on the value judgment of people who do it.
No, not at all.
At all.
But I was thinking to myself, it's crazy that just adding 4 hours seems like a huge thing. Like
it feels
is a huge
different.
because it's just
thing.
It feels like
because it
every
is
bit
compared
of
to
time.
what I've been doing.
Yeah, every bit of
Because I've
time
been
that I can
doing
reclaim for my job
5
feels
full
like
days
a
a week.
victory, even
Yeah.
if it's
Like the
whole life.
travel is such
I
a
even
huge
think
thing.
4 days is too many.
It's like 2 hours of your day that is sunk to getting and coming back from
That's
the
the
place.
thing. Yes, a lot of people
I like
do
to do
full
as much
time
as
all week, and they have like this commute of like an hour each
Yeah.
way.
I
I
wouldn't-
refuse.
I
They don't
will-
have lives.
I will
They
not
legitimately
commute
just
that
do not
far.
have what.
My,
And then they have
my
a family
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, my commute is
Sort of.
like
I mean,
20
they have
I mean,
people
sort
in
of,
their
right, they have
house.
people in their house.
And now I'm
they
doing it
might
on a bike, which is
know
fun.
to
Well,
some
now, but I
degree.
mean,
Yeah,
like this,
no, I know.
the
Oh my
museum,
god,
it takes
it's
me
insane.
like 3.5 minutes to bike there from here.
Yeah,
You
Like,
just kind of
I'm-
sit down.
It's at 8:30 to 4:30. I leave at 8:25, and I'm home at like 4:35.
yeah,
And still 5 days is too many.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just can't believe it. It's too much to ask.
It is.
It's not a judgment on the people who do it. I'm just saying you shouldn't be asked.
Well, I think
Yeah,
that
I
it
agree.
works for a lot of people. I it's especially trying, I think, for like creative people who have projects
Yeah,
and interests.
some people,
like ways that you want to spend your time.
a
And
lot
I
of
think
people
a lot
don't
of people,
know what they're gonna do unless they're at work every day.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of folks just
Yeah, but
don't
if they
have,
weren't at work every day, they would figure out what they want to do.
No, if they would have,
Not at
but
this point.
no,
A lot of
We
actually-
need to have like 2 generations of people being reprogrammed before people can figure that out. Just watching Matt,
You
who
don't
is
think
who is a person who like feels like he feels like he knows what to do with his life and everything. But in pandemic, he was constantly afraid that people like outside of the job even like nobody was saying like this is the party we're going to, this is the thing we're doing, so he'd just sit in his house and be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like
he also
I don't
has
understand
has
that at all.
deep mental health
I
problems.
don't
Yeah,
understand
right, but I
that at
don't
all.
Which a
think
lot
that
of-
his deep mental health problems are different than most. I think he's typical of
Right, I was
American
gonna
men.
say a lot
yeah,
of people
I think
obviously
I
have
think
mental
part of why
health.
work from home was so great for me is because I'm like I can fill this time, even if it's just me kind of like puttering around.
Yeah.
Like there are things in my life and in my home that
Absolutely.
are deeply fulfilling.
I feel
You
like
know,
I never have enough time. To
you
do all the
really
shit I
need-
wanna do.
Totally.
I'm
Same.
always
Same.
like,
I don't know how people do it.
Same.
I don't know how people have friends, honestly, because like
they
Sorry,
don't.
that's-
no, they
They
don't.
don't.
Mostly people don't.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's tough.
They really don't.
It
No,
is-
mostly people don't.
it is really hard to schedule.
Yeah.
everything.
I think something that
It
like
is.
not that many people understand that I like deeply feel is that you need a certain amount of hours like every day. Hours every day where you're literally doing nothing.
Yes,
Yeah.
I couldn't
At
agree
all.
more.
Yeah.
Like
Where you can
not a
just fuck
single
around.
fucking thing.
Yeah, just do whatever
Yeah.
you feel like. And
Yeah.
for, at least my office job is not so demanding that I like even if I'm in the office, I got some time to just dig
No,
around,
me too.
And that's important.
I'm only in the office 2 days a week at this point, and a lot of that time is just spent just like looking out of the window.
Yeah.
And
It's like when you're not in the office, you spend exactly as much time as you need to solve a problem, and then you can idle and do something that is important to you until there's another problem. And that's like the office is the exact opposite.
yeah.
Well, the office really wants you to make work for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's the panopticon or whatever,
Yeah.
where you're kind of always being observed. You're observing everyone else. And
The
you have to
museum
find a
is
way.
hilarious.
Also,
in that way.
I-
It's like
well,
the totally uncanny.
honestly-
you're like in there, and some days are really busy, and then a lot of days there's like you get your task assigned to you, and you're like, how can I make this task take as long
Mhm.
as
Yeah.
possible?
Yeah.
And you have to take all these breaks, and you have to like do something that that would take you half an hour in like a whole day.
Yeah.
I-
And it's excruciating.
I got so much
That's a lot.
better at
That's a lot of
being in my job, like when I just decided like I'm not going to pretend to be busy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm gonna do my thing, and if you ask me to do stuff, I'll do it, and I'll do a great job at that. But I am not going to pretend like I'm doing work that I'm not doing.
Yeah, that's
The
what I
news
do.
And I'm
Put a
gonna be
name on
honest,
this.
and I'm gonna be honest
Quiet
about
quitting?
that with the people around me.
What?
And it ended up with everybody being like,
Is what this
Mark's
is
really
called,
good at his
where you
job.
only do what you
Yeah,
think you
no,
have to do,
that's
which
kind of
to
my
me
deal.
is,
But
why
also,
would you ever
one
do
of my
anything
days
but
at
this?
work,
How do
I'm
we think
totally
that
by
this is a new
myself,
thing that's
and
going
none
on?
of my other
I
coworkers
was
are
ever
there.
not
Yeah.
And I'm
the
just
only,
alone
like,
in the room,
yeah.
and once in a while someone comes in and asks me for something. And then the other day is similar, except it's my coworker who I'm actually friends with, and we just sit and gossip all day.
Yeah.
Like those are my
I
2
thought
days
the
at work.
implication was
It's fine.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
so
Not
like
even doing
I'm pretty
that.
much
No,
like,
they-
well, they
they-
don't pay
no,
me
It just
enough,
means
They're
Just-
doing
and my
just what
job
they
what they're
isn't
supposed to.
like
Yeah,
all of
what-
the support
why-
systems to
There's
help
that
me do my
boomer
job
attitude
don't
of,
work,
like, you're
and
always
nobody else
supposed
is
to be trying
working.
to get
But
higher up the ladder.
I've been on the
And that, like,
internet
how
all
would you ever
day,
get higher up the
so
ladder if you don't do what you're
I don't
supposed to
know.
Somebody else
Yeah.
who does more
Yeah.
will come and take your job. And like,
Well, I'm very
Nobody's
upset.
coming.
I'm very upset by this thing you just told me.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
or just he was
I was
explaining
talking
quiet
about-
quitting to Jen.
Oh God,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so stupid.
That's the
I thought
dumbest-
it's the dumbest thing.
that's the
It's like not
I haven't
quitting
read
at all.
about it or
It's not
anything, but
quitting, it's
I
just
kind of like
normal.
It's
I've
just
like
doing your
grazed
job.
past it, but
Yeah.
I just assumed that what they meant was like people
Right.
slowly just not
Slowly
even doing their jobs.
Quit. Right.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's-
no one. Yeah,
the
like
It's
nomenclature
not
is
that.
tricky because it makes you feel like you're quitting and taking back your life, but in fact you're doing what you always should have been doing in the
Right,
first
yeah.
place,
I
which is
can't
only
believe.
what
I
you've
can't
agreed to
believe.
do.
I can't believe that that's what it means. I'm very
So
upset by
ridiculous.
this.
It's so
a
stupid.
horrifying
I find this-
real.
I find
I
this
had
very
no
upsetting.
idea that
It's
things
so
were this
stupid. Right.
bad.
Well,
until
and
the
I,
thing got
but that's
and I
what
refuse
considered
to frame
quitting.
it as quiet quitting
No.
because I'm like, no,
It's
like,
not even real.
I'm doing
It's
my
a
job.
fake-
I do a good job.
It's a
Right.
fake
They
thing
need
in
to do a
journalism.
good
Yeah,
job.
quitting is when
I'm
you
not going to
don't
pretend to do other stuff. And
Actually,
that's it.
I bet
Yeah.
the person who made that phrase doesn't even work in an office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My friend Molly,
Well, it's an
you guys know
academic
Molly
process.
Porter?
Yeah.
She, she just recently quit her job, long time union organizing job, and I just keep saying she's so pro labor that she quit. Like she's so the most pro worker thing you can do is just quitting your job.
Madison unionized her whole fucking workplace
And then quit.
And then quit. Yeah.
Baller.
That's
Is now in a much better
That's the
place,
most pro labor thing you can do. Pro
Yeah.
worker thing you can do is quit your job.
Yeah, don't work for other people.
Just
Well,
quit.
she did get a different job, but it's it's a much better situation.
Everyone knows how much I love people quitting their jobs.
Yeah.
Everyone knows. When
Noted.
we went to have dinner at their house, and it happened to be the day that she put in her 2 weeks, and she's like, "Hey, I quit my job today," and I was like,
Hey.
I like screamed. And she was like,
chug a
she's
beer.
like, I knew
Girl.
you would. Be
I
happy
quit
about
jobs
it."
all the time, and it feels like kind of empowering. Like
It's the
you know,
best
it,
thing
it
you can
always,
do for your
it's always a
humanity.
fun thing to like call up your boss and be like, yeah, 2 weeks,
I'm trying to get there.
I've been having a good time on the stupid internet reading listicles of people who try to quit their jobs and their boss doesn't get it. Their boss is like, I don't accept this
Yes,
resignation.
yes.
And then
That happens.
they stop going after 2 weeks and the bosses have to be like, why are you here?
Can you do this?
Because I quit.
Funny thing is,
I don't come in if I
quit.
don't come in.
And this happened after every plague. That after every plague, people reevaluate what they're being asked to do.
Yeah.
Almost like huge groups of them just go, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm not doing this. And eventually get like it's not that hard to find a better job than the one you had because all these other people have quit.
The
Or
pandemic
not
changed-
jobs. I think
pandemic
there's a
changed
lot of
jobs.
people who are finding not jobs.
Yeah.
And not gig economy,
Yeah.
just figuring out a different way.
Well, because I mean, you're funneled into debt if you do what you're supposed to.
Yes.
And it just, especially with inflation, like it doesn't make any sense to work and be in debt if you could just be in debt and not work.
Well, if you
Right,
if you
totally, 100%.
exactly, and if
It
and a
doesn't
carefully
say-
managed debt is wealth.
Yeah.
You just
Yes.
have to figure out how debt is your capital.
Yeah, wealth is access to capital.
Right.
Access to debt, I mean credit. Access to credit.
But then you get the whole trick thing of the gig economy of like Uber and that, where it's like anything you own, you need to capitalize on now by working for us. Have you?
Yeah.
Your capital is only worth something if you give it to us and make it our capital. Yeah. Your house, your car, every second of your day.
That whole like the Amazon delivery going under the Uber structure, that cannot last. Like there's already clearly so many flaws in just like a random person deciding in the middle of the day, I'll deliver a couple Amazon packages.
I think Amazon is so massive, like the amount of delivery that they do is so large that it's an acceptable risk
Yeah.
to not have oversight of every little bit of it. Because most people are going to do it, like they're going to basically do the work, and the ones that don't will kind of filter
You're like-
out.
It's like the quality there's like no oversight, and the quality is already poor, and over time it's not going to get better, and they're not going to offer like pay to get
And
better.
who
So it's
gives a
like-
shit as long as we got those shares?
That's Amazon's whole deal, though. It's like even just like stuff that you buy on Amazon has gone way down because it's all just become like drop shipping, generic, like Chinese produced goods with like whatever name on it. Like it doesn't. There's no real quality control to any of that.
Totally.
And so you can go on Amazon and buy stuff that is good, and you can also buy trash, and it just all washes out because it's such a massive operation.
Yeah. It's like it's not going to outlive Bezos unless it's completely redesigned.
Well, I think it's gonna. The thing is that so much of the internet runs on Amazon Web Services now that like that's the real thing. Like the being internet Walmart is like has been one way of doing it.
Yeah,
but
it's just
like,
been the foot in the door.
Ultimately, it's about creating infrastructure that you then can essentially license to everybody else in the world. That's just like they're not even like internet Walmart because most of the stuff that you buy on Amazon is not sold by Amazon.
Yeah.
It's just people who are essentially licensing this market infrastructure from the corporation.
And Amazon does do the interesting thing of they see what third-party things are selling a lot, and then they make a knockoff version that's Amazon branded, and then that's promoted in Amazon. So if you hear about the thing that the great water filter everyone's got, and you search in Amazon, the first thing you're going to get back is Amazon's knockoff.
Yeah.
And so they're like cannibalizing their own.
Don't get the knockoff Berkey.
Oh, I won't.
You gotta get the real one. Gotta get the real one.
Even better than that, make your own.
Make your own Berkey.
Become an engineer.
Get some pantyhose.
The filters
stick it
are-
in a can.
Yeah.
Make a Pringles machine.
So in
Make
this-
your own Pringles machine.
In this chapter, what
PIY.
we've got.
Sprinkle it yourself. Sorry.
No, I love it.
Sorry.
I had to think about it.
There's tons of intrigue. I just want to skip to the very end and talk about all the comedy with Ketzel.
I
Oh,
love
God.
Ketzel comedy.
Ketzel comedy is so
When he
amazing.
says like, does he need more blood? And Ketzel's like,
He stiffens.
yeah.
It's just like
And I just know he's like looking like.
they don't tell us which part of him is stiffening. I was thinking of like the priest in Little Mermaid who
Oh,
gets the
God.
boner. I was like, that's what I'm seeing when Ketzel stiffens over the mention of blood.
Holy shit! I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's the boner priest.
He's like, oh, I need to put on my face. Like
Yeah.
I have
If,
my
I feel-
skin condition.
I feel like there's a little bit in it, even of when he says, "My clothing shocks you," to Silk. Like this clothing always shocks
Yeah,
you, and it's like he's talking about his human costume.
Yeah.
He's kind of rubbing it in a lot in this chapter.
Wait, doesn't he say something? He adds something to Silk's speech that is like, there are monsters who want you to give
we'll take your blood.
What?
Yeah,
Where is that?
he's being. That is so funny.
Oh man,
He's
Like,
like really coming out and saying the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
Where is this?
Yeah, where
It's
was
when
I can't
Ketzel has the
remember.
mic. Now, my children, a most painful matter. Word has come to me that devils in human shape are seeking our destruction, falsely and evilly. They promise money they have not got and will not pay for our blood.
right? It's like a double entendre.
Yeah.
He's talking about like the people offering to assassinate them.
Yeah. But he's
But-
also
but yeah, but
explaining
he's
the
actually-
Inhumu are
Right,
here.
right,
and
right. That's
Because there must
super
be
clever.
others.
Other Inhumu?
Yeah.
I feel like we've
I
mentioned
definitely
talked
talked
about
about
it.
this.
Yeah. Oh, Oreb has some great little bits in this chapter too.
Oreb
Yeah.
asks a question here for one of the first times. He's
Bad
like,
man.
bad man?
Bad man.
Yeah, he doesn't like Usyk. He doesn't trust Usyk.
Yeah.
And he,
Oh, I thought he said that about Ketzel.
I think he calls
calls him a
Ketzel
thing.
a thing.
Yeah.
He knows
Bad
Thing.
thing.
bad thing.
But then Silk thinks he means like war or whatever. I can't
I think
remember.
he
Yeah,
means the,
well,
thinks
Silk
he's talking
never,
He thinks he's
Silk
talking about
never
walking
knows
stick.
what the fuck
the sword. Hey!
Oreb's talking about.
There you go.
See everybody.
Oh yeah, and Oreb says when Usyk's like some at the end of the speech, what Silk takes it again. Pray especially to the outsider, because he is the God whose time is coming, and I am the help he sent us. And then Usyk's, for which we all give thanks. And Oreb says, "Watch out!" Like, is he talking about Usyk or to Usyk? Like, is he saying watch out for Usyk? Or is he saying to Usyk, like, you better, like, you're getting more than you bargained for with Silk here. Like, you don't know exactly how much he's going to change.
I don't remember what happens with Usyk. So
Yeah, does Usyk turn on them again? I don't remember either.
I don't remember.
Well, Usyk is the one that's been diddling his woman, right?
Yeah, but he's also like, he has other girls he likes more.
Yeah, he doesn't love her.
Diddling.
Yeah.
Diddling.
Oh, and when Hyacinth comes out, I'm just skipping around like crazy in this a little bit, but when Quetzal is saying all the names of the gods, he says, Scylla, patroness of this. He continues to speak, but Silk's attention deserted him. The door of the dressing room had opened. Hyacinth stepped through it, radiantly lovely in a flowing gown of scarlet silk. Is Hyacinth possessed by Scylla now? I mean, she's arriving right as Scylla is being called by Quetzal.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and I was wondering also if the scarlet silk is like an indicator of something, or is this Kypris like doing a thing Scylla hates, like usurping her spotlight? Mm-hmm. Is this like
stealing silk? I don't know. The redness makes me think it's not Skylar.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I feel like that's a flag, and it would seem the redness would be Kypris, and so
that's
like
what it seems to be.
Yeah, so it's not that Scylla is being introduced; it's that Scylla's being upstaged.
Ah.
Which also is kind of weirdly parallel happening with the invasion, in that like the female town is now like usurping the whole attention of everyone in taking over Scylla's thing.
Sphinx. What are we calling her?
Oh yeah, how do you say it?
Sphinx.
I like Sphinx.
Sphinx.
It's probably not how you would. It's probably like Sphinx.
Oh, when
I like Sphinx though.
When Oreb says bad thing, there is something interesting going on, because the first time he says it, it's about Quetzal. Quetzal's a bad thing. And then Xiphias comes in and is like, now can I show you this? Augur can wear a sword, right? But you can carry this. Had a stick first time you came, didn't you? Bad thing, Oreb said. And Silk thinks he's talking about swords, or about a sword. But Oreb's talking about the Blood's walking stick. I think Oreb is calling Blood's walking stick a bad thing.
Because it was going to beat him. He kept being afraid that Silk was going to hit him with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
he was afraid of it earlier. Like, he doesn't like sticks.
Yeah.
It's true.
I wonder, maybe someone hit him with a stick before.
Yeah, we'll often
is there something bad in it too, in that it's blood? Like this thing that came from blood. Silk couldn't keep that because it's like not part of Silk's nature or his mission to be like wielding the stick of blood.
Like, sounds kind of badass, but
it sounds very badass.
My blood,
the congealed blood stick.
The stick of blood.
Oh, this whole business. So we get a lot of tell, don't show me here, and it started to get me thinking about Horn. And I almost never think about Horn, but I was starting to think like, okay, so this is a lot of action that's being explained by Silk of like, well, this must have happened, and then he's like explaining the intrigue behind everything that's going on, which I feel like that's going to annoy some writers. They're going to say like, this isn't how you write. You don't like have characters sitting around explaining all this stuff that you don't get to see and why people are doing it. And then that got me thinking about Horn. Is Horn trying to make sense of everything that's gone on? And that's been driven a lot by just instinct in Silk and in the other characters. But Horn wants to make it that Silk is the one who explains, and Silk understands everything that's going on all the time, because this is a story like to romanticize
Lionized
and lionize silk. Yeah.
Yeah.
And is the person who's telling not showing Horn and not Wolf?
Yeah. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
I feel like it has to be.
That this is like not a Wolf being lazy or like making a bad choice. He's making a choice that this stuff doesn't actually need to be explained explicitly at all, but Horn wants to do it with Silk to make Silk seem like the perfect prophet.
Well, there's also, I feel like there's a certain reality to people. There is a reality of the power that being able to tell somebody the facts of something else that gives the teller control over what's happening. And if you're showing something that happens, that at least obviously it's a novel, so there's artifice to it, but like showing is a more kind of like objective sort of presentation of information, and telling is highly subjective. It's based on the person who is telling it, and I think that's like a really critical. Something that Wolf does a lot. Like pretty much every time you have somebody telling somebody something else, they're not giving them just like the facts of the matter.
Right.
If he wants,
Yeah, I feel like I want to turn the objectivity bit of that on its head a little bit, where like telling gives the power to the person who's telling, and showing gives the power to me, rather than like I think it's objective, but really
showing puts it up for interpretation. Telling contains the interpretation.
Yeah.
Though there's deeper levels of that also. So
I just prefer my subjectivity to other people's.
You're right. I mean, none of it's truly objective. Like that's just not going to happen. Which is why it's silly to think that there's an objective truth of what happens in these books.
Right, it's all a simulation, man.
Yeah. Right.
We're living in a simulation.
It's true. I can't see it any other way.
Yeah. It's just run on your own brain.
We did a pretty good job of mostly talking about this.
Oh yeah, it's the end of the
sure.
chapter.
We really did talk about the chapter.
I think we hit everything that I thought was pretty. Yeah, I'll show you your reflection if you ask. Is really funny to Quetzal, like because he's a vampire.
Right.
And there's also that weird like you have to be invited into a house to go, like if you ask kind of. It's really funny to read this knowing that he's in Humu, because almost every turn there's a joke about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Quetzal doesn't show up without like 10 vampire jokes.
And then you just don't even see them.
Yeah, and the first time you
I
read
mean,
this,
that's like the classic Wolf thing.
That's our
You
guy.
read it the
He's
first
like, I
time
told
and
you
you're like,
guys what the deal was.
I've been explaining it the whole time.
Yeah.
Like when they're talking,
It's so
when
plain.
he talks about
you know?
his teeth up, like in the roof of
Folding
his
up,
mouth.
fangs,
Like, it's
folds
like-
up his fangs.
yeah.
Like what are we thinking?
He's talking about how he's got to put on makeup because of his
My
his
skin
face don't
condition.
look right.
Yeah, skin condition.
You're so nice not to talk about it.
Right. It's great.
He just overwhelms you with stuff so well, and I find that it's hurting my own writing a lot. 'Cause, like, and I finally got in to read this story that I wrote last night, and she was like, this paragraph is impenetrable. And I was like, yeah, it creates this cool effect. And she's like, no, it makes me stop reading.
Clara, you gotta do a writing club thing. Why did you slip out of that?
Because I feel bad because I haven't been having a lot of time to read other people's writing, and I feel like that's not fair.
Oh, but if you get back into the groove,
That's
you have
why
a
I
few
haven't
weeks.
read your novella yet. I'm sorry about that.
I mean, it's
Even
50
though
pages. Nobody's going to read it.
I'm going to.
I'm gonna-
50
I just
pages
got to
is
get.
I'll read it.
Right now I'm reviewing a history textbook that I'm trying to fucking get through. So
Time is a thing, but if you submit it, enough time.
I think I'm gonna print it.
Yeah.
I think that's the
That's the
thing.
way.
That's the because
Yeah.
I've read. So you're gonna,
I've just been leaving the Word document open on my computer.
yeah, it's like I get a little farther on the screen, and then because I'm on a screen, I just like I go another thing happens.
That's
another
what's
thing
so
happens.
hard, man. Because all the book, like when I'm reviewing books, it's just a PDF, and so
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah, it's
oh
kind
my
of
god, it's so hard.
It
to
is.
Yeah,
get
you
through
can't
this
even
shit.
put it on an e-reader if you wanted to.
I mean,
I guess some of them I handle PDFs better.
I mean,
I should try.
I
it.
can have them on mine, but they're
It's-
annoying.
well, yeah,
Because you have to like zoom and.
Yeah, you don't have the same flexibility,
Yeah.
so it's annoying. Yeah. It
They
would be
do
nice
make
if they sent me a movie.
things that will kind of like auto convert from a PDF
Oh,
into a
yeah.
thing. They don't
Yeah.
work.
It depends on the
right.
formatting of the original PDF.
Yeah, it doesn't
all
work.
depends on
It can be
Great.
awful or it can be
Yeah.
okay. I get some.
If the PDF's optimized for like screen readers and stuff, then it probably works okay. But I haven't tried it. I haven't tried it with my Nook yet. I ought to give that a shot. It never really worked very well with my Kindle. So
Well, I just try to get off on the idea that I am a guy on a spaceship throwing my writing off into a black hole.
Is it a scan or is it like a computer PDF?
it's a printer's proof. The one I'm reading right now
Oh,
is a
shit.
proof, which it actually won't even let me like copy text out of
Oh,
it
wow.
because of like rights management stuff. But, yes, it's especially because when you're getting advanced readers copies of stuff, it gets a little bit like finicky. I don't know.
That makes sense.
It's not ideal. My reaction to that is just I've only been reading like physical books otherwise. So
Yeah, it's the way to read.
yeah,
It's a good way.
it just works.
One of the
Paper,
one of the
piece
better
of
ways.
paper.
Piece of paper.
Yeah, it's really
Gotta
like
love,
both.
gotta love piece of paper.
I like both a lot.
I don't read anything that I can't tear up.
I've gotten a lot of mileage out of e-readers, but I like especially there's like
Done with that.
when you got a more
Word.
physical thing that you're
Yeah.
holding and like moving around, it becomes a lot more obvious to me when I've been staring at my phone for 15 minutes because I'm also like holding a book and I'd be like, oh fuck, and just like put this away.
Well, for me, being able to read laying on my side is like a really big deal. And it's
Yeah,
hard.
that's
It's
nice.
You can do it with a book. You can.
no,
it's just
yeah,
not
yeah,
as
you're
nice.
When I was a kid,
It's not ergonomic.
I would read laying on my side with the book like this,
Yep.
so that the book became my whole world, and that was heaven.
That's
I would
cool.
do something like that too. Yeah. All kinds of
like right up in your face.
crazy contortions.
That's why I wear
When I
glasses,
was
is
a
because
kid,
I read this
when I
far
was
away.
a kid, I think I would mostly do this and then it would fall on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I drop a book on my face so often.
But no, I'm a big fan of both. Though I think like if I had to pick one to only do, I would definitely pick paper book. But since I have the choice, I like both. And I really like using Overdrive with the e-reader.
Yeah.
I love that.
What is
I
that?
tell
What is
you,
Overdrive?
It's the library app. Well, like
Oh.
Libby is the
Libby
app.
now, but yeah, it
Um,
just lets you download ebooks
Yeah,
from the library.
and the e-reader that I have, you can like links up directly to Overdrive. So I used to have to plug it in and put the PDF on my e-reader, but now I have a new one, and it just downloads the book from the library.
Does it
It's
take
so nice.
the ebook away when you're? Oh, that's interesting.
Unless
But
you're
I think
disconnected
you do-
from
yeah,
the
if you
internet.
take
With
it off
Kindles, with Kindles you can do that, but I think I have a Kobo, and I think it
I have a
knows.
No, that's what I have a Kobo, and I think I
Oh, really?
have that stupid space novel that you were into for whatever that I think is just still on there.
Oh,
because
really?
I took it off my Wi-Fi. I haven't read any of it.
I don't think I can do that.
No,
Well,
need
mine
to-
is newer. I don't know. Maybe yours
I have a
is
newer
older.
one. I got mine like last year or something.
I'll
Mine
try
for
it.
A long time.
I'll
now.
try
It
it.
fucking just rips.
It's great. I've had a Kobo for like a year that I just have not really used because I've been so just like I've been reading at home. And what I
Yeah.
used to do a lot is that I would have the book that I'm reading and then I would find like an EPUB copy of it so that I could like just have a Kindle on the bus or something.
Yeah,
And it's
the
just-
reason I have one is for reading at work.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was better than having a book out, having like a
Yeah.
thing that.
That's why that's the first e-reader I ever got was just because like man I read at work a lot.
I got it for
need to pick
travel. Long
Yeah,
term,
it's
long
good for
term
that.
travel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eating while you're reading.
Oh,
is
yeah,
really
much
good.
I used to love when a boss would come up and be like, "You can't have that book open on your desk." And I'd be like, "I have the highest numbers of anybody in the office."
All right. I like taking this to school because every once in a while I'll be like, I'll just be like, fuck it, I'm reading in this pose. And then, the kids can't ask questions or like make any inferences about me based on the cover of the book.
Also, the kind I have is like the e-ink or whatever, and it has a light,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is nice.
That's crucial. Yeah, being able to read in bed without having the lights on is
really
It's nice. Yeah. I
You
think
guys don't
e-ink
have
is
that
so
magnifying glass with the light on it? I have one of those.
The
It's
grandpa
bad.
glass.
Yeah,
That's
they're cool.
Those are
Here,
cool.
I'm gonna buy internet.
Okay, bye.